Yeah, Alan, yeah. I think the message.
Daniel fell.
Bring it up.
It doesn't look you're getting traced.
For the resolution and stuff.
We've got no problem.
No, I can no problem. So you, I'll,
Whatever.
okay.
We are live now. We are live now.
Oh,
All set? Oh, well, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. We're live now. I'll start the agenda with a welcome. Good to see a few people. And any apologies? All the board members are here, so there's no apologies. Number 3, introduction of any extraordinary business. Anyone got something you want to notify?
Yeah, I've got one I've got for the resolution and related to road safety later on.
Road safety, yeah. Okay. Any,
When Alan's finished, I'll also continue on the same thing.
different things, though. Different
Yes,
things.
yes.
Yeah. Because it's down here.
Yeah, mine will be out of space, yeah.
Item 4, I think we've covered it. 5, conflict of interest. Any members got a conflict of interest in today's business, please let me know. And the attached elected members register has been updated, isn't it? Everybody's updated their one, I think. Item number 6, ECAN draft annual plan. Have your say. Is there anything, John, to talk about on that?
No, I think that the main thing is with the plan. ECAN looks at public transport and the broader environmental issues. So it's a separate issue to the Selwyn annual plan consultation. So if you want to have your say, and I think the ECAN one closes in a couple of weeks, whereas the Selwyn District Council annual plan closes about the 16th of April.
Yeah, the important thing,
26th of April.
the important thing to remember here, members, is that ECAN rate everybody for public transport. So if we're to get any commuter transport out there, the ECAN rate, not Selwyn District Council rate. I think I'm correct down here. All right.
So we're getting something for our money worth.
Well, you hope so, wouldn't you?
No, they'll probably introduce a targeted rate for it.
All right.
And then keep the money.
I'm speaking to the high school.
Well, we're now in the public forum and we've got a Zoom meeting at 5 o'clock as part of the public forum from us as past, so that's to be held over. Item 7 was Andy England, Jim sharing possibilities at the high school, but was he not coming?
No, it's not here, so I would say I could step in and bid for some first,
Well, okay.
or we could discuss it later.
I think if with your expert chairmanship, I'm sure that if Andy does show up,
We'll go back into
you
public
might be able
forum.
to pause and go back into public.
All right, okay, roll that over. Confirmation of minutes of last meeting, February 25th. Any comments or amendments that I would need to be noted?
No.
Can I please have a mover and a second?
I'll move. I'll second it.
I moved member McKenzie and seconded member Peacock. All in favour, aye?
Aye.
Against, carried, thank you. Items from previous meetings, actions. Chief Executive, Steve?
Yeah, so I guess with the work here at the top, the first 2 have been completed. We've got some information on the sister city garden. I can talk to that within my report. We've got Alex Cabrera here, CEO of Selwyn Water Limited, who is also part of the agenda, will give an update at the meeting. And in regards to the request around an update for the board on the process of registering Homebush Railway Station on the protected or historical buildings register, we've provided that to Councillor John to pass on to the DRA, and I think all of those actions will be dealt with today.
All right, so that's the Homebush railway station up there. It's to be added to the list. And the tenure on the ground is just a permanent. Not a year thing, was it?
It was more about getting the actual facility, as I understood the board's request, is getting the facility actually listed on the register.
Yes.
I understand it is already there, but I think the team have got some information, and it might just be that we'll get that circulated. And John, if you need help recovering that email, if it's okay, then happy to help you.
Thank you. I'll speak to your report.
Yeah, well, actually, I guess like we've talked about, board members, the bulk of this presentation is actually around road safety and traffic management, and we've got James Cagle from NZTA here, and we've also got Gareth Morgan, our head of operations. So we're going to get a bit of a run through and a bit of an update from both the national perspective as well as from our council perspective. And I know when I see the volume of inquiries and requests coming through around the importance of connecting our communities through our transport network, I know this is really important work for the board. So having James and having Gareth here to kind of run through how things are managed and planned and delivered, hopefully will give the board some greater context to help focus and sharpen up the questions, or to promote more questions for us. So if you're happy, do you want to invite James and Gareth to the table?
Please, yes. And we'll take James first, will we?
Yeah, we'll go national and then finish by
National.
Right. Thank you very much.
You know, we've got a few transport issues in there.
Do you?
Townships.
I
I'm
wasn't aware.
sure you did.
That's not the sentiment you've expressed before.
No.
The sentiment usually is, I'm well aware.
Well, look, there's always things I'm not aware of, but look, thanks very much for having me. Look, how to put it? I mean, you know what the nature of your community is. It's very typical of frankly lots of communities in this part of the world. Rural settlements connected by state highways, often divided in their immediate settlement by state highways.
And railway line.
And let's not forget the railway lines, because they play an important role, but also create an extra complication in many respects as well. So yes, and railway lines, one railway line in particular for you guys. Look, NZTA is a very complicated agency. It's a complex world in which we operate. And from your point of view, we fill a bunch of different functions, and I think it's really important to be clear about the nature of those functions. They are different, they're disparate. Sometimes we're holding you to account, sometimes we're constraining you. Actually, sometimes we're doing that to ourselves. Or sometimes both of us are being constrained by a third party. So look, if I just unpack some of that briefly, we're a Crown entity, we're a Crown agent, so a subset of Crown entities. We are required by law to give effect to government policy. So that's the way that's expressed, and that is usually by the expression of contained in the government policy statement on land transport. It's not the only place you find government policy, but it's the most authoritative and regular sort of place where that's set out. So I've got a copy of the current GPS with me here because it's almost certainly going to be relevant to some of the issues that you've got.
That data updated every year.
It's updated. It's for 10 years. This one's 24 to 34, but it's usually updated every 3 years. This one was issued in 24, about 6 months after Simeon Brown became Minister of Transport following the last election. And you can immediately see that therefore, one, well, the current Minister of Transport, Chris Bishop, is busy drafting the next version, the next update. He will probably issue a draft middle of the year. He's not bound to. That's just sort of what you'd probably expect. They'd go through public consultation. It's his document. It's not ours. It's written by him and really by the Ministry of Transport. But it's over there. We provide advice in. I'd expect to see a draft middle of the year, public comment, etc., etc. That will probably form the basis of commitments that flow into the events in November. We'll take the result of November. New minister, might be the same minister, but with different people around him. They'll update depending on how extreme the difference between the draft was and the result in November. We'll get a final version of the next one, probably about this time next year. Probably, I say, there's a bit of room there. The most important thing that we need it for is so that we can then take the direction that's contained in it and form up the next National Land Transport Program, which runs from 27, usually 3 years, 27, 30 would be its time frame, but it might, by this expression, be a 10-year document, so 27, 37. Right? And we have to publish that by law no later than September next year. So if we start at September next year and then work backwards from there, we need, and councils themselves need, clarity on what government policy we're giving effect to well in advance of 1 September in order to be able to align everything else up and make that work. So it sort of gets you to about this time next year. Right? Okay, so that's, and most importantly, it's not the only thing that does, but most importantly, the government policy that it's giving to expression to are the funding parameters. And it does that by setting a bunch of activity classes in which we can invest, and the maximum and minimum investment levels in each of those areas. So, for example, this document said, in fact, created specific pools of money that must be spent either for local roads by councils or for state highways by us on pavement condition. So fixing potholes really was the way the minister expressed it, but in resealing, rehabilitating roads and in drainage works. Confined levels of investment into those activities so that the minister knew that amount of money at a minimum would be spent on those activities. Right? It's a really good way.
Enforcement will be one.
Enforcement is not one, but it's covered really because what was and is still an activity called safety was defined down so that it really is only paying for the money that goes from us by way of the fund to the New Zealand Police for enforcement, and
your own.
Two other activities, exactly. Our own enforcement by way of safety cameras, because they came to us, used to be with New Zealand Police. We now carry that, and the residual amount left over is for really road safety education. So the ads you see on TV. And a little bit of the regionalised activity, but the vast bulk of that money in that safety activity class is road enforcement, road policing in particular. So yeah, in a way, yes, it does have exactly that confining guarantee of knowing an amount of money is going to be spent at a minimum on that activity, by way of example. So GPS constrains our activity, and we are required by law to give effect to it. Right? So if I find myself saying, as I regularly do, well, that's us giving effect to the GPS. If you want us to do something different, the best port of call, by all means, tell me, it helps, but the best port of call is the minister. The other things that cascade through that is, and one that comes up very regularly in this community and plenty of others, is speed. So two aspects of that in terms of our role. So we are the land transport systems regulator. So we have contained within us an officer called the Director of Land Transport. It's a statutorily independent role. He's effectively required to give advice on the state of regulation, whether something meets the regulations. He, as I say, part of us runs our regulatory function, but we also receive regulation from the Ministry of Transport, and speed is a really good example. So we have a setting of speed limits rule, again,
15th of January 2025.
well done, updated by the then Minister Simeon Brown.
Yeah.
Yep, he writes it. Ministry conducted the consultation. Well, actually, we conducted the consultation on behalf of the ministry, but it's a ministry document. Minister signs it off. Our job to enforce it via our regulatory function.
Interpret it and enforce it.
Correct. Interpret in two places, to be clear. By our regulatory function, i.e. are the activities of all road controlling authorities meeting the standards of that regulation? And then, also of interest to you, as an RCA, as a road controlling authority, just like Selwyn District Council as a road controlling authority for local roads in Selwyn District, for the state highway. So, as I say, holding ourselves to account and holding others to account. So one part of NZTA is trying to deliver on that regulation, and the other part is holding that to account. And that's, speed setting changes to speed. Very complicated process, and it's a very prescriptive set of regulations this time around. Very clear on what can and cannot do, or the process and how to go through it. But that's a really good example of receiving something from government and then just operationalizing it.
We'll talk about Table 3 a little later.
I'm certain we will. I actually left my copy back at the office, but I know to what you're referring. Yeah. So that's another example where we receive advice or instruction from government, and it's simply our duty to carry that out. To be clear, we provide advice backwards on what we think works and what we don't, but we're not necessarily at liberty to just alter things because we'd like to. Worth saying what I said earlier, but really emphasising it in both speed and in funding. The instruction from government and in the I guess the current period is quite a lot more detailed and prescriptive than it has been in recent years. And so really does confine us into a narrow channel. And that's very much by design, because as I said, the minister, for example, was not satisfied with the amount of money that was going into potholes, or not going into potholes, as it were, and wanted to see a change like that, and affected that by being quite instructive and deliberate in his instruction. And I think those are the broad areas, that sort of regulatory delivery and funding area, the two biggest areas that we probably have an impact on the sorts of issues that you're interested in, and the sorts of interests that council is trying to self-manage at an activity. I think if we've got question, I can dive into the sort of mechanics of how things work, funding cycles, those sorts of things. But
Yeah, unless there's any questions, I think you've set the target.
Yeah, hopefully.
I have one. I'm on behalf of the ratepayers. Is there a living document within the NZTA that we can see? Because a lot of your stuff, take the Ashburton Bridge for instance,
Sure.
that's on a long time frame, and we understand that.
Pretty quick, but yep. Yep.
A lot of stuff comes up as the living environment changes. And we've got a situation in Dartford, we're looking at 4,000, 5,000 new houses over the next 5 or 6 years, possibly, including a fast track proposal that's coming through. And the fast track proposal has been really well written, but it says nothing about what impact you're going to have with an extra 1,000 cars a day trotting through the intersection with the two state highways. It does state that there's 51 metres diameter room there to put a roundabout in, but nothing about who's going to fund it.
Yep. So familiar with that problem? Yep.
So the issue what I'm asking is that, do you have a living document where new projects can be signified if not approved, so that we know they're on, you guys are looking at them?
Yeah, no, it's a really, really good question. The short answer is yes and no. At the really big level, yes.
Yeah.
We are trying to improve our 30-year view. So at a really macro level, and it's not the level you started your example, but I'll come to it. So we try to look 30 years out, where are the growth pressures, what's going to be needed, where you can see, for example, State Highway 1 from Christchurch to Ashburton is going to need to be upgraded. That's going to reach its capacity if we arguably haven't reached it already, those sorts of things. We're going to need to upgrade bridges, etc. Those sorts of things. That's relatively easy to capture, and we're about to issue a new version of that. So it's not a living document, but we're trying to keep it regularly up to date. And it certainly acknowledges at the high level the growth pressure around Christchurch and in a district like Selwyn. But at a lower level, that, for example, you have FTA's the fast track showing growth in all sorts of places. That's simply too granular.
Yeah.
I mean, we are trying to capture it and to keep up with it, but fast track itself is a massive accelerant on that. And even our best laid plans, we've got to go through quite a process from idea, validate it out, even if it's in line with Crown policy until you actually get to build something. And that's to justify the spending of quite a considerable amount of money. Things are simply moving too fast to be able to keep that in a sort of live document way. The very best way is simply to stay in dialogue with us. We're always happy to say, oh yeah, we were aware of that. Yes, we're monitoring it. Yes, we're talking to the developer. Or no, we're not, or all of those sorts of things.
So is that, can I ask a question? Yeah. So is that the same for initiatives like the turning back Courtney Road that you've helped with?
Yeah, exactly.
That's been great that it's in the funding application for 2027.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean to say that we will get it. So is it just up to me to just engage with you as we go, or as the process goes?
Either you individually, or the board directly, or the council. Absolutely, we try to be as aware as we can be, and through officers, officers like yourself, of what's needed. We're through, frankly, sadly, things like crash reporting and those sorts of things in terms of risk, being aware of the growth and the change on the network. We can't capture all of it, but capturing an idea is the first importance. Capturing the need is, but having done that, it is quite a long way. Happy to step through it, but it's quite a long way, as I know we've talked, to get to. Yep, we know we've got the funding. Most importantly, though, we need to know what the next government policy statement will allow, because that will set the macro funding constraints that we then have to then break down and parcel down into. Well, that means we've got, say, X money for intersection upgrades in a particular region over a particular time period, and we're a long way away from that for the next funding cycle yet. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm from Arthur's Pass.
Yep. I gathered.
So last year we put forward a proposal, and you'll be familiar with that.
Very familiar.
And so since then, we've done a little bit more digging and some through the OIA, and so we were pretty disappointed that that and the flat answer doesn't meet the rule, which actually didn't sit very well. I've got it now in front of me, the rule.
Good.
So to reduce to 30 kilometres an hour was our aim through Arthur's Pass, and we know the statistics around death and not death in 50 to 30 kilometres an hour. But an interesting thing that came out through the OIA was when your internal staff were canvassed about what criteria the Arthur's Pass corridor would meet. And I have the report from Fiona McLeod that says that number 12 on table 3 was actually met, and it was advised for Roy, can't remember.
Roy Johnson.
Roy Johnson was to take that to a meeting. He took it to the meeting, came back, just says no, didn't meet the rule. So okay, that's their prerogative. How it doesn't meet the rule is a little interesting to us. But there are other portions in that table that could invite a lower speed limit in Arthur's Pass, and there are at least 2 other places in the South Island, Punakaiki and Cardrona, that have a lower speed limit of 40 kilometres an hour. One of which, Punakaiki, is under NZTA control, the other one's under Queensland.
It is. The important distinction for Punakaiki to understand is that speed was lowered before the rule changed. So,
Okay.
so the rule is principally in that sense is about changing speeds.
Yes.
And we don't unfortunately have the ability to change it. Once it's there, particularly if it wasn't a speed that was lowered late under the last rule because the speed was a community or road was around a school, then we've been able to keep them there. But moving new parts of roads to those speeds is the obstacle.
Well, this is an existing road, not a new road.
Yeah, no, but changing speeds
But-
is the
But if you look at the class of road, 14 says urban streets with significant levels of pedestrian and cycling activity.
Yep.
That would be Arthur's Pass.
It's not Arthur's Pass, I'm afraid.
Okay. Urban streets with no footpaths.
You've got footpaths in most of the parts where we
part
think.
of it.
Yeah.
There are.
Well, I think you'll struggle more actually in the parts where we don't
Right.
than where we do.
And the last one was I-18, which is mountainous or hill corridors, which is Aotearoa through to Arthur's Pass.
Yeah.
And
And the other side.
on the other side.
Yeah.
And and it says roads where the alignment is tortuous. Well, if that ain't tortuous going through there, then we don't know.
It's not tortuous through Arthur's Pass.
No. But the proposal that we put was decrease the speed limit from Aotearoa to Arthur's Pass to 80 kilometres an hour, and then the other ones were subsequent to that.
Yeah.
So there is an opportunity to split those out. However, that's a discussion that will.
Yeah, look,
will continue.
I'm happy to go and push on the Aotearoa side again. To be fair to you, because that hasn't been the real focus of our discussion in recent weeks.
No, and there have been fatalities.
Oh, there absolutely 100%. Look,
Well, anyway,
we're getting down to the real detail.
just if I could close it off, just because I absolutely want to acknowledge the community of Arthur's Pass desire to see a lower speed limit. I've been aware of it for quite some time. We were very unfortunate with timing of change in the speed limit rule. You know, under the old rule, you would have a lower speed limit now.
Well, excuse me, what do we do now about it?
First of all, the most important thing you can do is be clear, and I've sort of had this conversation with John, is be clear with ministers about the desire to see a more enabling rule. The rule is the ministers to change. It takes quite an amount of time, and you can see that in the time frame when the last one was issued. You know, it takes about a year for a minister to get a rule changed. But the best place to be clear is for ministers, so your local MP as well.
yeah, so we have that in train. We meet with Neil McGregor this week.
Perfect. And
I think we probably hammered that one, Terry.
Yep.
We know what to do, well, we can't do it. Big thing is, if the other places around, get on the list before we're all changed again.
yeah, and look, I've got quite a long list. I'm always happy to have more added and be really clear about where communities would like action.
In Dartford, and Spangler Village goes ahead, part of Highway 72. It's a joint highway.
Yep.
Outside Dartford. Well, it's got to be something we can't wait for years, but it'll take, say, 5 or 10 years to that subdivision. So there is time, but.
Yeah. The thing is, nothing stays the same.
Progress.
Right.
Just briefly, as the Sheffield community,
Yes,
there are some here, but there are others who aren't.
sure.
So, well aware of it. Can you just give a brief statement about the parking and the traffic? I know the speed limits and the process are being lowered, but any further measures, is that again a matter of lobbying the minister?
No, it's a really good question. So it's good to draw the distinction out. So let's just do speed. You know, we're in the process of consulting. You know, of working through the process the rule stipulates in terms of seeing whether we can get a lower speed through there. Great. It's quite a process, and we're working through it. So thank you for the submissions that have been received on that. That's the speed element. The rest is, for want of a better way of putting it, minor works. It really is, and that's not something that the GPS rules out. merely constrains the total aggregate amount of money that we've got nationwide over a 3-year period to put towards it. So it does provide a constraint, but isn't at the constraint level of saying thou shalt not build car parks on state highways. No. Okay, so then it really is a question of dialogue with us about what we can budget for and how we can prioritize that relative to the other operational undertakings, because it's minor. It's not even coming from the same pool of money that a roundabout would come from.
Cool.
Right.
In other words, for local people, it's the main issue.
I totally get that, but in the national scheme of things, it's not competing for money against, say, Woodian bypass.
So
Totally different things.
So something simple, like at the bottom of, if you go down the Aylesbury Straight to the bottom where Bailey Road hooks in, that's an absolutely shocker of a corner. And there's no turning bay.
So dialogue, a list of things like that from the community board to me would be great. Happy to have that sort of thing. We can go back and say, oh yeah, no, we were all aware of that. Or actually, yeah, look, I can see that it's important, but it sits this far down a list of 50 others. Or happy to engage on things like that.
We can.
I'm sure you can.
So Sheffield.
Yeah.
So obviously you had a huge response, I imagine, for a small community.
In terms of speed?
Of the speed,
Yeah.
but
Well,
not
pretty
just
good.
the speed, it's also the issue
The
with the
safe parking and the crossing of the
exactly.
road. Yeah,
So
yep.
though they're looking at reducing the speed.
Yep.
That's not going to solve a lot of the issues. A lot of the issues is going to be that side of it.
To the Arthur's Pass point, it will reduce the risk in aggregate, because it's not nothing by any stretch of the imagination. But
the side issues and the compliance.
100%. Yeah.
What will happen with all those reports that have come through saying, hey, long speed's not going to be enough, we also need this. Do you take it further, or once they get the speed down, we're going to have to start again?
No. I would be horrified if that was the ask.
Okay.
No. We'll take up the non-speed issues out of that consultation, and we'll pass them to people like Roy, to just name the name, our safety engineers, and we'll aggregate that up. We don't have a program for. We've tried. And that's why I raise it the flat frame this way. We don't have a program for the sorts of improvements that would improve the crossing of state highway for communities like Sheffield. Jeepers, we're sitting in one. Communities like Darfield, communities like Kerwee, there are lots of towns in Canterbury alone that are severed by the state highway where crossing is difficult. Speed is an issue. It's by no means the only issue. It would be nice if,
Take West Malvern.
Yeah.
At long last, they got lights.
Yep.
On a highway.
Yep.
And at one stage, it was considered impossible to happen.
Yep.
And for those people going to town in the morning for 7 o'clock onwards, at least they can get through.
Yeah. So a really good example, right? So West Melton, that project was a project picked up by the Crown, as a result of its desire to see projects go ahead post-COVID, and was directly given funding by ministers to happen.
Yes.
But it's one town in one place. I mean, look, part of a few others, with a set of traffic lights in Ashburton as well, part of the same thing, for example. But we don't have a bigger program or a successor program where we can pick off 4 towns a year or whatever and just improve their access and their crossing. It was a one-off, but it's a really good example to say, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we could do that elsewhere too? Because it really would.
All right. Well, where do we go next on?
Well, so that is probably not in an individual level if you're picking out Sheffield, but if you're saying, hang on, this is a common problem in Sheffield and Kerwee and Darfield, and now you're at a programmatic level, that is probably something where, always staying clear with us that you've got that desire. That's useful for us to know, and we can feed that into our great big hopper. But that probably does hit the threshold where you can say to ministers, Minister, it'd be really nice if there was a stream of funding that was directed to this sort of problem. And we just knew, look, we know it wouldn't all be done instantly, but we could pick off 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 a year, because goodness knows the list is very long once you go, wide enough across the country.
Okay. I
But
think
yeah, at your discretion, of course, you know.
you've given us a lot to think about, and you've also given us a way forward a wee bit too. The minister and those extra.
Yeah, and I'm not saying ministers. I mean, ministers struggle. They've got to balance all sorts of things too. It's very difficult, but it is them that set the constraints, you know. And
I think just watching this job.
no, I don't want to take your time.
I think you've done pretty well. You've got
Thank you.
thinking, and Gary's got a few answers, and you know, Bex, you've got. As speed comes down, it's only start of the project.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's I
We'll
get that
keep
it's
on it.
not everything that you want. It's not, but it's absolutely going to be an improvement in
But
terms
as
of
a board,
safety.
we can
Yeah.
fight it together.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and I'm more than happy to help.
The compliance thing is the next one down. I mean, even if we had people that were sticking to a 50km/h speed limit throughout this
Oh, wouldn't it be great?
wouldn't it?
And
So you know, and I went and did a minimal little survey the other day for 15 minutes. It was like blah. So one of the things that the councils used to do a long time ago when they couldn't afford many speed cameras was they put up a bloody plethora of poles and they moved the speed cameras around from one to the other. So my suggestion to you is put 6 poles up between Arthur's Pass and Blimmin and West Melton, and every week move the camera. And then you're going to catch a whole lot of different people.
So just on that, if you'll indulge me for 60 seconds longer, because it's look, as you heard me say, you know, road policing and that enforcement space is now split between us and New Zealand Police. You know, we look after the cameras and they do the actual road policing enforcement. And in cameras, we have a limited budget this 3-year cycle to increase the number of cameras. We have, however, completely taken over and renewed the mobile fleet. I will check. I won't necessarily be free to tell you because we try not to tell people where we can put them, but I will check what sites we've got where we can place mobile cameras in that corridor, because that's probably your most effective deterrence, is knowing that anytime, anywhere you could be caught, you know, along that corridor.
Our problem is that the first time a truck sees it, then every other truck on the West Coast knows it's there. For mobile.
Yeah, but equally it still slows them down, right?
For that instance, it is until it becomes public knowledge, and then there we go.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your.
No, you're welcome.
Your help to us, and we've got something to work with, and some more weeks to get there.
No, you're welcome. I'll sit and listen.
Excuse me, can I ask a question before you go, James?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm Renee Hublitzel. I'm an Arthur's Pass resident. I serve on the APA with Barry McKenzie. I just wanted some clarification when you talk about the change of rules and how it impacted the decision in Arthur's Pass to not reduce the speed, and that the Punakaiki decision happened at a time where before there was a rule change and that we'd missed out. I'm just curious when that happened, because we've been lobbying for a speed reduction here since about 2020. So how did we miss out?
You did, and we had a big program of speed reductions programmed under the old rule. We were well aware of your desire to lower speed, and that rule, so not the current one, the previous one, had a completely different process that you had to run through to lower community speeds, and it was done regionally by promulgating new plans. We had Arthur's Pass in that plan, so we were again moving through that process to lower the speed in Arthur's Pass under that rule, and the rule changed. So I'm not.
Can I just look? This is the first time I had someone call the public to me, so I'm not quite sure of the rules and regulations. Look, was it Denise?
Oh, this Renee.
Renee, I think that's about all we can tell you today, but rest assured, this issue is still alive.
Fundamentally, I'm not forgetting Arthur's Pass. So I'm. You know,
all right, well, I think we can close that.
The video that kids do. I mean, you've done a really good job of being clear about what you want.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So we're going to welcome Gareth now to. We've dealt with the national view, and now we're coming to the district view. So Gareth's going to give us a quick run through of Warbeats from a local perspective, road safety around intersections, and one other thing.
One other thing, you mentioned traffic management. I'm happy to add that to my list. bit of a pet project of mine.
I personally haven't met you, but anyway, how are you?
Good, thanks.
We're running, just keep it going. And
Yeah, okay, well,
I think if members can ask, should the board, the chair, go together rather than
yeah,
too much like this.
okay. I'll start off by good news. Good news for Malvern. I didn't walk in with a brick to cause trouble. There's your rubber road. So I've just brought you a sample to pass around. It's 15% recycled tires. 15% of that is recycled tires, and 15% of that is recycled asphalt. Okay, thank you. Steve mentioned he's had a chat with me to come and update three things: what we're doing around intersection safety, and then obviously applicable to Malvern, speed management, and how generally does the road maintenance contract work. And I'm happy to add traffic management to that, because that's an evolving beast right now. Cool. First of all, intersection safety. We as you hear from James, we do run an annual program of intersection upgrades, which now in the last funding round, I have to say, sorry James, I know you're behind me, is funded entirely by Selwyn District Council. It's non-subsidized, $400,000 a year. But that program that we're currently running was built off a report which was commissioned by NZTA some years ago, called the ABLI National Predictive Crash Model. And it looked at all the Selwyn's rural intersections and then prioritized them based on traffic volumes, the length of the approaches, the skew angle of the approaches, etc. The goal of that obviously is to reduce the high severity crashes. Crashes will happen. Minor crashes, non-injury crashes happen, but there are an awful lot and increasing of high to medium risk crashes that cause DSIs, deaths and serious injuries, and those are the ones that we're targeting.
In the next year ahead, can you tell us any where they're going to be in the district?
Yep.
Well, no, just in the Malvern ward.
In the Malvern ward, there's I don't think there's much, but there is much which affects the Malvern ward around the fringes. Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to that. The 2026-27 program is not set yet, to be honest. We haven't finished this year's program. Once this year's program is finished, we'll then revert to, we've got two data sets. We've got a data set of crashes 5 years pre-2020, a data set of crashes, I think we've already provided those to Samantha, of crashes post 2020 to 2025, and they will be looked at to see what's shifted and what's modeled, and that program will be refreshed. So what was set down in a program 1 year ago, 2 years ago, might not be what's set down in the program for next year. So we've got a road safety engineer that'll go through that. For Malvern specifically then, the current model doesn't prioritize many intersections in Malvern. I would imagine a lot of your concerns around the intersections that you have are probably NZTA intersections, rather than local roads. But there is some things which do impact Malvern, which have been in the program, and they're on the fringes. So I'm talking about down on the plains, the wards Kerrs Walkers, the Walkers Aylesbury's, the wards Two Chain. All those intersections are being upgraded. There is one for Malvern. There is one, and it's only a minor one. I think it was at the request of Councillor John in the last board term, and that was the Greendale Adams Road realignment, making it a clear T intersection, because there's a.
It hasn't happened yet, has it?
No, it's on the program for this year.
Good.
Hasn't happened yet, because you've got that slip lane off to the skew.
I asked that on a ward bus trip. Good. Been asked to go.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Good news for you. And there's been some work done at Courtney Beeley roads about, I mean, that's just minor work around some line marking, stop signs, and RRPMs, what you might call cat's eyes, just to increase the visibility of it. That's it for intersection safety. as I say, we got a road safety engineer that hasn't produced next year's model, but you know, once that's
Well,
done,
we're going to give another one this afternoon.
We've got another one for you.
okay,
Real good one.
no worries.
Tell you what it is, so you can think about it.
I don't need to think about it. I think I know about it.
Oh, that's halfway there, isn't it?
Halfway there, I've just driven through it.
Good on you. Good
Yep.
on you.
Okay, speed management. Speed management with the speed limit, the setting the speed limit rule changes when the new government came in, and everything sort of turned on its head a wee bit. We as Selwyn have elected to do annual speed changes across the district through the alternative method, which involves consultation. The reason for that is, you know, that word used quite a lot. We're a growth district, and we have expanses of townships and expanses of areas which were once rural roads, which are now got residences on 100k roads. So we have to annually do speed changes to catch up with that.
So that's an annual process.
That's an annual process. It's due out around about May, June. Has to go to councillors first to be accepted to go out to consultation.
When our ratepayers ring us from Greenhill, say, well, we're going down to 80k on Contract Road, for instance.
Well,
a couple of years ago.
Well, you've got 4 immediate ones, and I can rattle them off for you very quickly. So Arthur's Pass, we are going to be recommending to councillors that we go forward on all the local roads down from 50 to 40. Green,
You know that, Barry?
you do now.
Well, it's got to go through these guys before we get to know, so.
It does.
Anyway,
But thank you,
That's the
thank you
process.
for the consideration.
That's the process.
down to
Yeah,
40.
down to 40. Local roads down to 40.
That's the ones that lead on to the main roads.
Yeah, all the local roads.
Yeah.
I can promise you 40 through Arthur's Pass. That's James.
That's someone else's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
And there's a whole briefing paper if you want it. We've done a simplified paper for it probably should be up on our net page right now about, you know, what we can do around setting the speeds, because there's criteria and we have to comply with that criteria as well. Greendale Road, as development pushes out, there's a section of Greendale Road, nearly 1 kilometre of it, that'll drop from 100 to 50. McLaughlin's Road, similar situation. They're proposing, I think that's nearly, there's nearly 1 kilometre on McLaughlin's Road. It'll go down from 100 to 60. And Telegraph Road around Cooney Ave, don't know where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be proposed to drop. So there's some speed changes. But when this goes out to consultation, now remember it has to meet the criteria, and the criteria is around, you know, pushing out into the roads. Consultation means consultation. If you've got proposals, you put them forward. The opportunities is there for people to do so.
So when does it close?
It'll go out once it goes through council first. And I'm not announcing anything which is a surprise. Apologies, councillor. It's an annual process that we go through. It'll be out for 4 to 6 weeks, and then the results of that will go back to council to then get ratified, implemented, usually around about September, October.
So if we've got one that's not on your list that waiting for your engineer to come back from overseas.
Oh, from Ravi. Yep.
Yeah. So that's still likely to make this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Certainly if Ravi knows about it. Yeah. Yep. I'll get on there. So that's speed.
Yep.
Now, quickly, how does the road maintenance contract work? And that what does it cover? There's sort of 3 areas to our road maintenance contract, our maintenance operations and renewals contract. There's a component of work which is cyclical maintenance, which is based off level of service. It happens continuously and proactively. So I'm talking about things, and these are lump sum items that are covered in the contract. So sweeping, litter removal, graffiti, pothole repairs, sign maintenance, all that stuff. Then there's the second area which is on demand, what we call measure and value stuff, which is triaged, assessed, and then if budget allows, gets delivered. That's triggered from customer requests, snap, send, solves, inspections, observed defects, programs, all those sorts of things. So we're talking pavement repairs, vandalism type signs or change in sign locations and roadside drainage. And then we have a cyclical maintenance renewal program, which is what James touched on briefly about what that reference called pothole repairs. All the money did not go into what you would think physical potholes. It's the sealed surface as such.
And
So-
Gareth, is that the work that Cord does mainly?
No, Cord don't do this.
Is that
Heb have the contract for this currently, and there's 12 out of interest. There's 12 months left on that contract. That's out for retender next year.
All right, now we're just wondering, there's two contracts, there's Cord and Keep, so we just, so that.
Cord is Alex's contract there from Selwyn Water. The roading network is managed by Heb currently, out of Darfield, just down the road.
Thank you.
And those renewal programs are resurfacing programs, chip seal, asphalt, rejuvenation stuff, rubber roads, that stuff. Road strengthening, where we have to dig out repairs. Remember, our roads were built at a time when the vehicles we don't have today.
And you still take the thing up, you see layers of soil still there under the.
Yeah, well,
Not uncommon to see.
Selwyn is a
Dig it up.
district of farm tracks that were just sprayed over.
Right.
Yep.
You know, they're not. I mean, let's get out there now. I mean, Selwyn. A lot of the roads in Selwyn that might come up for criticism from some people and some users. They're not engineered roads.
But some of the best ones is my great grandfather.
Anyway, that's it. Okay, there we
I'm
go.
gonna give some of that.
That's a quick rattle through. Traffic management, quite happy. Is traffic management an issue for Malvern?
Yeah, I applaud your reduction of the side
Local
roads
roads.
and the local roads.
Thought you might.
But unfortunately, it's going to cost you about 10 signs, and we could just use 2 and put them on state ICS 73, and it'll be solved.
And take the signs off the local roads.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, people thought, any other, John, yeah.
Pooling of water on Wards Road heading in towards Rolleston on the left-hand side, just raising it as an issue. Especially in periods like this, and more frequent rain, etc. It's getting worse and worse and sort of does.
Okay, I can take that through, John, but I'm
Yeah.
not aware of any particular
What
one.
I have noticed in the last week traveling around, that you know how you get edge break. Now, a lot of the edges are higher than the surface of the road.
That's to put you back into the road, you see.
Yeah. So
It's a safety feature.
It's because 50-ton trucks are running down there and
But I saw where
Yeah.
the road had been graded on both sides, like it used to be, so the water came off the road and ran down into the verge. Anyway, so is
Yeah.
that a policy, is that a part of the policy?
Are you talking unsealed roads?
No,
Grading, you said?
These are seal rates.
Yeah.
It's just been graded off the seal about that much, like, and so the grass doesn't come up to the seal.
Yeah, no, the best thing you can do, so there's a couple of things to unpack there. The best thing you can do for roads is to get rid of the edge, to get rid of the berm.
Yeah.
We got to get water off the roads. And we had a program a few years ago where the district looked like it'd been stripped bare 1 meter wide on all the roads. That's just stripping it back. Get the water off. There's not a deliberate program to raise the edges or anything. That's just
Lower them so the water runs
yeah,
off.
absolutely. That's exactly what we want. I mean,
Alright,
edge break is a result of the increase in width of vehicles nowadays. They were built for the Morris Oxford or the A35. They weren't built for the
All right, well, just to
modern
close
trucks.
this, can I just say that you cat's eyes on Telegraph Road from where all the trees are taken out to Charing Cross. Is that a new thing that we're doing, putting cat's eyes on the left-hand side of the road?
We've been trialing it.
Is
Yes.
that a trial?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And we've done the same with one of those roads I mentioned earlier. Yep. We've been trialing that, especially as you approach the intersection.
Okay.
It's for intersection upgrades. You mentioned traffic management.
Oh,
Is it a problem for Malvern?
well, yes and no. I mean, the point is, it needs to be policed, that's all. It's not the department, is it?
Traffic management, yeah.
Oh.
What in
Well,
what
well,
context?
It's the speed limits. I mean.
Oh, speed limits. Oh,
No,
that's police. That's police.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Any other question?
No, well,
No, we'll talk
all right.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
No worries. It's all
Thank you.
good.
Appreciate it.
At what stage can I introduce solutions onto the section?
Well, we'll get Steve's report finished.
Yep. Okay.
And so- He's delegated those.
Steve,
That's fine.
you can wake up there, Steve.
I've been awake all the time.
No, I know.
Look, I just want to thank both James and Gareth for taking the time, because I know road management, road safety is of real critical importance. I've seen that in the volume of questions that have come through the board. So I really do thank the guys for taking the time today to give you both a sense of some of the constraints, both with the national program, but also within our local program, but also both have given you the pathway to continue your advocacy role for the community on behalf of the community, and also I think some tangible things that this board can do to compile a list of where those improvements are, both for James and for Gareth and the Selwyn District Council. So thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thankfully, I get to take the rest of my report as read. But I probably, I'm happy to take it as read, unless there's any other questions.
So someone move that.
I'll move that. Take it as
Three
read.
move, second it.
Okay, second.
Who's the second? All opposed, aye.
Thank you.
When does Alex come on?
Alex can come on now.
And three of us.
I can move along if you need anyway.
Well, welcome, Alex. Are you going? Sorry. Will you introduce your team, please?
Yes, as I was just going to say, I have the A team accompanying me today. So I thought that I'll show you that the people that are doing all the heavy lifting and the work. So, Nisha, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'm Nisha Livermore. I'm the Communications Advisor at Selwyn Water.
Hello, Heather Geddes. I'm the Deputy CE looking after the implementation of the organisation to 1 July.
Thank you.
So both Nisha and Heather will be engaging with you regularly over the next few months as we work through the several kind of activities that we got.
Well,
here.
it's taken for me to come here, isn't it?
That's right.
In that process.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And we have this little print up today. Since the last time we were here, we received a couple of emails with different topics. So I think we have covered all of those here. There were some other questions that we dealt with offline. But again, as I said last time, once we get the new organization established and once we get into a bit of a rhythm in terms of how we deliver to your needs, all kind of communication is very welcome. Whereas, directly through this group or in between meetings, we just want to make sure that we fine tune things to meet your expectations. So we have on the pack an update on the significance and engagement policy, which is a really important piece of our establishment. We got an update on what we'll be doing with our capital program, which we discussed last time, and I think you will be quite pleased to see where we got to and what you're going to be seeing very soon. And there are a couple of updates that were specifically requested, one on the wastewater project, and also there were some comments about what are we intending to do about procurement. Procurement?
Sorry.
Yeah. So I think somebody says, please tell us what you're doing about procurement. So we're just going to give you an update on that. But let's start with the significance and engagement policy. Nisha is leading this piece, so we'd like to, yeah.
So it's very exciting. We went out earlier this week on our first public engagement on our significance and engagement policy. So now we're inviting residents to help shape what that policy looks like and give us their feedback. Just to give
want those residents to come to the residents associations or the community board, you want 500 individuals?
But I want as many people as possible and organisations to submit. Is that what the question was?
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
So the policy sets out how Selwyn Water will identify significant decisions and provides clarity for our communities on when and how this engagement will occur. It outlines how council as our shareholder and mana whenua will be involved in decisions around drinking water and wastewater, and ensures transparency and consistency in how we will involve communities. And feedback and public involvement is really important to us. You know, we know that the community wants us to be open and transparent and accountable, and we want them to have a say in what we do and on these decisions that affect them. So the more people we can have giving us feedback on the policy, that would be amazing. And this is their chance to really tell us their thoughts and help let us know how we can engage with them going forward in the future, which is really important. So we really welcome you as a board to submit, but also really encourage your communities to jump online, fill out a form, and let us know their thoughts on the policy.
Well, just to tell you information, we're going to a 2 monthly cycle of meetings.
Yep.
And the other month is we as a board will be talking to the RAs. So you've got it both ways.
Yep.
We'll be giving them to tell us.
Perfect.
And we'll be helping them to tell you.
Yeah, perfect.
And for us to kind of, I mean, you collecting all of that information so we can use these channels, you know, just to kind of shape the things we do. And I think that that's, you know, if that worked for the community, we want, whatever we do, we just want to make sure that it's shaped around the needs of specific communities. Some people like to, you know, submit an online form, others want to talk that, yeah, within your hands.
Okay. All right, well, that's good. Now,
So,
capital works, is it?
yeah, capital work. So last time I was here, I was talking to you about a piece of that we're doing around due diligence. So kind of capturing all of the activity, making sure we have the timelines, the budgets aligned, the completions. So that piece is kind of nearly completed. We just kind of we had quite a long list of what's probably better described as activities that now we are trying to put together into projects that are easier to understand for everyone. So what you have here, and this is the first time that we show this around, is just an example of the kind of information that you will be able to access at any time. So this will be available on our website. You can see it, we divide it per region, so you can actually see what's going on in Melbourne, what's been approved, the expenditure, the timeline, completion. And each one of those little circles that you see on the right will represent, it will represent a project. So you can click on that and it will give you the whole kind of scope, the project brief, what's been done on that. So I think that will be quite a useful tool to for you to kind of answer many of the questions that you have, but also when we come back to you, we can discuss each one of those individually with the live information in there.
Well, it'd be a major change for what we've got now.
And
And for the right direction, because people ask us what's happening down there and no one knows. There's been no communication.
if you go back to the consultation last year, there were 3 main things, right? One of them was around cost, making sure that, you know, we are very driven by ensuring that we deliver the best result we can for the community for the lowest possible cost. The other was transparency and openness, and I think this will deal with that piece. And the other one was connection, right? And that's what kind of Nisha is talking about, asking the community, how do you want to engage with us? What do you want? When do you want to be part of the conversation? I think will give us a really solid foundation to build from where we are now. This information is here. It's just it's very small because it's only a sample, but you will this will be available on our website. You can just click, get all of the details. We are also building a bit of a modeling tool here. So if there is a new project, we can look at the impact that they might have on rates. Yeah, we can look at prioritization of activity, which is something I think that we said, or you said last time you wanted the community to be involved in terms of saying, do this first, we care more about this one than that one. All of that we'll be able to do with live data, which I think will be great.
That's good.
And you probably want be able to see it there because it's very small, but we got a White Cliff pump station kind of little light blue along there. I will send you that in more detail later today or tomorrow.
Thank you.
But it's all in there.
And does that include the pipeline all the way to Hara?
Yes, I think the two light blue little rectangles at the bottom there. Yeah, we'll get that in more detail. This is just meant to show you where we're at with.
There, I'm interested in the Castle Hill wastewater.
Yes, okay. As I said, all of the activity that we have will be available online for everyone in the community to see. We have two updates, which again were requested, I think, last time and also in a couple of emails. One was on the treatment plants. Key point here is it's still on schedule for completion in December 2026. I need to go and check some pipes that John was querying before, so we'll drive back that way. But yeah, so that's progressing. And just over the page, we have, and we talk about this, the connection to the wastewater pipeline project. So these are the timelines that have been agreed and transferred from STC to Selwyn Water. So that,
excuse me,
sure.
sorry, to go back to the page, a new water treatment, that's not wastewater.
No, the previous one it's a water treatment.
That one,
That's really good one, yeah.
The Craig Road is just a water treatment plant.
You're correct, yes.
So,
And storage reservoir.
and the storage reservoir. Yeah, okay. Yep,
And
thank you.
over the page, that is the wastewater pipeline, which there were some queries about when the main township will be able to connect to that. That's on the plans for 28 to 2031. We still need to do some work around the connections. It's quite a complex. I think we'll have to look at individual kind of residential addresses. Some have been kind of the wastewater pipes have been designed to point towards the septic tank rather than towards the road, which is where this pipe is. So it might require, quite a bit of additional work. We also want to find a way of ensuring there's some kind of support for the community. This kind of project, could be at an individual level quite expensive to connect. So again, we just want to make sure that we have some options prepared before we engage with individual residents on the specific case.
Asking a dumb question, Alex. If someone's got spent 15, 30,000, whatever it is, putting a septic tank in that's working very well at the moment, or they've got a septic tank system in there that's working perfectly well at the moment, why should they have to go and connect to a new system when there's a massive amount of growth going to happen in Darfield and those new houses will need to connect to it? Do we have the capacity? And what is the capacity on the main line going down to Pines?
Those are all very good questions that we need to address soon. I think there's we know that Pines has some capacity issues, or will have capacity issues in the not too distant future, based on the cumulative effect of all of the additional consenting, and that's a big problem. We are discussing that with Steve and his team, how we're going to address that. No, so I mean, short answer is if you have a septic tank and you using it, that's fine. I think there will be over time, I guess, I need to move away from that, and we want to make sure that we are prepared so that if there were changes in terms of resource consent and that kind of stuff, that the community is not going to end up in a situation where you're stuck. So this is all part of our kind of a long-term planning. We want to make sure that we got one foot in today and another one in the future.
Makes sense.
Now, I should.
Mr. Chief Master. So just for those who aren't here, is it correct to say that in the 28 to 31, that's probably going to be the older established parts of town, the main street, and the people whose septic tanks are getting near the end of their life?
Yeah, we have.
And that's the time frame, so they can take a step back and relax, because it's going to be about 5 years.
We got in here that the prioritization will be based on the when your consent will expire. Yeah. So if your septic tank consent is expiring, obviously we'll try to prioritize your connection into the line. If you don't have a consent, as you know, saying before, we just kind of wait for the right time. Yeah.
Look, I think one of the main things in Darfield, for instance, would be existing township areas. The first major phase would be the main street. Get all the places like the bakery.
Get the bakery.
and-
I was in Darfield on Tuesday, I think, with someone meeting some residents. They also had some other kind of queries about water and wastewater. So there's quite a bit of work to be done here. And as you were pointed out before, with the growth that Darfield is likely to experience, we got that on our radar. So we'll be working through each one of those challenges with the individual, trying to minimize the impact at an individual level.
So that would be Horndon Street, North Road, that sort of township area. Whereas for people like myself that came here in the not too distant past, and we've got, as Alan said, sort of 30-year consents on our septic tanks, that I'm really not going to have to worry because I won't be here by the time it's all connected.
That's your prerogative, John, but yes, I think it's not.
If you like.
And on a more serious note, the school and the retirement village opposite the school are almost near capacity.
I really trust.
Yeah. That's what,
so they'll get priority discussions.
that's what I'm trying to flag with this. As we take control of some of these projects, right, we want to use as an opportunity to re-engage with the community and to say, well, these are the plans as they stand. What are the things that we could do maybe to kind of enhance that? What are the other opportunities that we have, where there might be, different type of borrowing or some kind of arrangement? We are hoping to make some improvements on our procurement process that will kind of free up some of the capital to then maybe do more with the same amount that we're receiving at the moment. It's all very early days, but there's the direction that the councillors here have set up for Selwyn Water through the statement of expectations. So that.
Well, I think it's real progress. I think we can, once you become real live.
Well, we become leaders tips, but I think what we don't want is to lose the connection with the community. We can't build these things in isolation. This is not a kind of close the door and us kind of working away. We need to work with you. We need to work with the community to understand how do we do it. And it's all part of kind of raising the water literacy that we talked last time. Often people don't understand how some of the things work, and they don't understand the challenges that you face. So the more that we kind of all do this together, I think will put us in a better position.
And Alex, your website gives the council number, your phone number, which goes to the council. When you become July 1,
yep,
will you have your own phone number?
You can call me anytime you want.
Yes, but we will have our own phone number.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yesterday I was told to send an email.
No, it is coming. We'll have different ways of getting hold of us 24/7, because as a large utilities company, we need to be available to you and to the community all the time. So we took quite a prudent approach in terms of building this. We didn't want to kind of go too fast and too hard and then create a whole lot of expenditure. We thought we just going kind of bit by bit. So we're using, essentially, we put a front end to our page on the 1st of July when we became an organization, a legal entity, but we've been using the Selwyn District Council engine to provide the support, so that we don't kind of waste money on having to redo stuff.
Can I ask any other board members like while they're here? Because I think we've covered it, Alex.
I have one final question on the pipeline. Can you tell us, or can you find out for us, what capacity of properties that was actually designed to cover when it was installed?
Yeah.
Because it's not much, to my mind, it's not much point putting a pipeline in if it's not future proofed to go out 20 odd years. And our growth out here is going to be exponential.
Yeah.
And Kirby the same. I just want to,
I will come back to you with it. I will come back to you with that one. That point about kind of planning for the future, it's critical.
Yes.
And we do need to get a good handle on where we're at now. Yeah. So that we can tell what is it we can do and afford going forward. But for the region, I mean, for all regions, but for Selwyn region in particular, just getting that little bit further ahead in the planning will be fundamental.
Legend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of our procurement approach, again, I'm not sure what was the kind of the background to the question, but these are the principles that we'll be applying in terms of, we're trying to bring a slightly more commercial lens to the way we do things. It needs to be, the transparency and the value for money need to be clearly demonstrated. We are reviewing the core contract, so we are working with the council in terms of the changes, but at the same time, we're looking at how can we make things a little bit more efficient.
You looked at the core charge out rates.
We are looking at everything that in relation to that.
I've got interest, all right?
Yeah.
Please look at them.
No.
That's don't like robbery.
Can I ask if you are going to bring in place a buy local policy? And the reason I ask is council have in the past gone outside the district to get pretty major contracts done when they could have spent a lot of money locally.
Yep.
We've got some excellent contractors. In fact, I was at a meeting the other night and our local hire operator provided a truck to go and pick up some concrete blocks for a particular job out in Colgate, and it was all done free of charge.
Yeah.
It's nice to put, when we've got people in the community looking after the community, it's 100%. Nice to think we can spend local.
I think you will find that point is covered when we say ensuring that the right contract model is used for the right type of work. That's what we're trying to say in kind of roundabout way. That if we can find the right support, let's say, we're using Cord or any other company, if they say they need some electrical work done and there is a good firm that can do this locally, we will be choosing to do that locally so that we keep us connected with the community.
All right, I'm conscious by clock.
Can I just very quickly? I just very quickly. Heather will cover what's coming next, which is quite important, and touches on all of this, and then we'll hand over back.
But obviously very conscious of the time, so I'll be very quick. So obviously the annual plan's gone out at the moment, Selwyn District Council, so you'll see us traipse along to a few of those engagements alongside the council to talk about a significance and engagement policy alongside. And then we'd expect to come out in May on our water services strategy as well. So we're looking, as you engage with our significance and engagement policy, taking some of that feedback in, and we'll see our water services strategy, which is currently draft, being updated as we go along. We'll need to publish that on our website in June. So a lot of that's moving along. And of course, we're deep in the billing process at the moment to make sure that by the time we get to 1 July, and we're going out with our separate water bills, that they're accurate, that they're understandable, and that we've spent quite a bit of time making sure that we've created that as simply and as clear as we possibly can for the community.
Will there still be 3 monthly ones, like you pay your rates to council?
They will be rolling 90 days, yeah.
We would like to get to a kind of monthly cycle so that, as we improve on our kind of meter reading and collection of data, then, people can maybe just choose what's the preferred approach, what suits them better. And we want to be able to provide all of that information again on your phone so that, we can help reduce any leaks, for example. So you've been away, for a week, and then you look at your consumption and you see they're still quite high, then either, you've had a squatter or there's a leak somewhere in your property. So we want to help you at least with one of those problems.
Yeah, so you'll be able to actually get information as well on what that looks like. We've got a portal that we're developing at the moment to support that.
Just a heads up on the Bangor fast track proposal. It was interesting reading that there's a requirement for all properties to have a rainwater catchment tank. Is that something that you guys would like to promote throughout the rest of the district?
We will. We've had a conversation with some of the residents here early on the week, saying that they had too much water, and actually they wanted to sell some of the water back to us. But I'm not sure we want to encourage them to capture more water. So yeah, there's a few things that we want to do to kind of bring some resilience into the sector. That we were talking earlier about how exposed we are to ever-changing weather events and international conflicts and all of that. So we do need to think of part of that long-term thing. How do we build resilience, both from a energy independence, right? So that we got one of our water schemes that is operates on a generator. There is no electricity there. There's only it's a diesel generator. That's the kind of stuff that kind of keeps me awake at night sometimes. It will take us a few years to get that resilience and the connectivity in the sector, in the infrastructure that would allow us to then supply and deal with these challenges better.
Thank you. I think I'll ask, thank you for coming along, and I'm sure we've always got something to work on now. We can,
Great.
it's only a few months, well, April, May, June, 3 months to go.
You let us know when you want to see, and we'll be back.
Yeah, okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right, committee, we'll go back on your agenda to street names. And we've got a recommendation there from Samantha.
Yeah, so look, this is
Thank you.
a
See you later.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Jeff. This is your first exercising of your delegation. That's a momentous occasion. The team have had an application through, and I'm going to take the report as read. Just going to touch on a couple of key things. That all of these names meet our policy. You have the choice as a board to accept them, and any roads that or road names that you don't accept, then you can ask council to go back and ask the developer for other options if you so choose. As I say, they all comply with our road naming policy. Your decision today confirms it. This is the change to the delegation means that you don't refer this on to council for approval. Your approval is it. So, over to you.
Thank you. Well, I've been away while all these emails are going, the 20th, 30 between you all. What did you come up with?
I can see no issues. And I think that the general community feedback that I've had has been that there's been no issues. And it was good that there was Appendix A, which I missed, which actually explained the Te Reo and the English translations, and that helped with the community.
And Samantha,
I was in agreement.
you're in agreement. All right, would you like to move?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I'll move it.
Delegated authority.
Second.
Right, moved and seconded, all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, carried. Sure.
Congratulations.
Righto, now, what's item up to now?
Board members' reports. So you're up first.
All right, well, I'm going to wait to do the line for holiday and I purposely left everything behind, including some of my phone with. But I did have a rough idea and got this through to and it's now been sorted out here. So I just go through 24th of February, as you all know, we had a civil defence meeting here at the library, and I found it very interesting and highlighted to us all how we have responsibility to take measures to survive an emergency, nothing else. And then the ward tour, board members and councillors, senior staff went on tour through some of the Melbourne community board area. It was a good opportunity to travel and through the plains, and particularly the Big Cell Road. We're lucky to get an escort vehicle at the right time, so that's good. One of the more important aspects, or probably the most important aspect, was to look at the halls. And there's a document out for consideration now, just come out since yesterday or the day before. But also, we looked at this issue of the swimming pool at Sheffield and the land ownership. I mean, yeah, 4 owners own the land as which the pool set. You know. That's an old thing, been going for 150 years, suddenly we've got it fixed. And let's hope we can get open for next year. I would like to think we could. Does that sound right to you, Steve?
Yeah.
Are there any issues between the various landowners? Who will buy it? Will council buy it?
I think it's at the moment it's with Lynn's, but if you want a bit more of a detailed breakdown, I can bring James Richmond into the next meeting just to give you an update, or provide that as part of my CEO report as to where we're at.
Appreciate it. Okay. On March 12th, I submitted my monthly verbal report to council. and informed him that the proposed artwork erected in front of the Darfield Library was not welcomed by many of the ward's resident groups. Was considered the money should be held in reserve until associations had more time to consider and make recommendations for its use. So that's a fair thing. Also reported the strategic plan had some minor changes that Samantha got through. And does it now go to council for ratifying, or does it?
No,
Or do we sign it off?
that's your plan. It's your document. Only you need to sign it off. It guides your work.
So I think I've got that in my
Your report.
update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, all right, so that's covered. But at least I was telling council that was quick to get in there. Now, one of the most important things during the month was we had couple of we made a decision last meeting was to reduce our meetings to every 2 months, commencing the year 1st of July. So I told that to council. But I suppose one of the main things that happened during the month was we decided to hold 2 workshop meetings. And the first was to explore the appointment of portfolio for members. Now that mixed with varied responses, and I know that it's covered by at least 2 other board members, so I won't say it anymore, except to say I was unable to convince members that this idea was worthy, and as was planned, each member would have an area of reference. However, in my considerations, that the issue is work in progress, and it may yet be revisited. But in the meantime, Alan's got a sort of another idea around that. I think that we made some real progress here, and it's not really finalised necessarily, but it's at least got things out in the open. We're talking about it. The other draft meeting was discussed the annual plan for the wards, and as I said, I was away, and a lot of work been done on the document by Samantha. I thought we were just going to do the annual draft plan, but we got into the 10-year plan. Is that right as well?
That's the annual
That's-
plan.
But I did notice there was very little work on the plan other than in the townships. So the rural areas have got it, and Alan will bring out this other road thing in a minute. So that was all right. And I attended the inspection of the rubber road at Glentunnel Reserve. Again, has been covering other people's reports. While I welcome the trial recycled rubber material, I consider that the location of the stretch of road will get insufficient use to prove its true worth. That's a start, and it's 3 different sections down there. So it's really quite when you see that chunk of rubber that went around a minute ago, it's quite heavy. But I was a bit lost to understand how you can recycle bitumen.
Oh, they do. They mill it off the top.
Oh,
They-
they do.
Yeah, mill it off the top and hold it. Yes,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
mill the bitumen off and
Yeah.
then hold it and then reblend it in with the.
So would
mix.
that only work for hot mix, not road seal?
No, you can do it with chip seal as
Can
well.
you?
They mill that as well.
Okay. All right. So having gone through roughly my report, I formally moved the document report as a summons.
Second.
Oh, thanks very much. Got the resolutions. All in say aye.
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Next up first.
Okay, so
Now can I just suppose we've got half an hour to go, and I think we've just got to keep the discussions in tight time frame, because we've got this Zoom meeting coming at 5 o'clock. But that won't take too long, I hope. But anyway, Bex, where you go? It's up to you. Yep.
So just looking at my different groups. Okay, so start with Glentunnel. I've been following up about the water contamination between Glentunnel and White Cliffs with ECAN. Went through to the science department, and I actually just got a message today to say that they want to set up a meeting. So I'm hoping Barry might join me with that between the 2 areas and find out a little bit more about what's actually going on. So that's the next step we're at with that. The tables at Joyce Park, woohoo, they're finally getting sorted. They're actually moving where they're actually put as well, and so that's going to get sorted hopefully in the next few weeks. The rubber road up and running as with Aware. I've driven down it quite a few times already, and I really appreciate that the MCB were actually invited to the opening as well as part of the community. For the annual plan of what they really want, the main thing is tar sealing of the community hall car park. A lot of my things that they all wanted of all the different groups were in the long-term plan really, so there's only so many short-term. The ward tour, it was great to be able to show off our vast ward to Selwyn District Council leadership team councillors. Cindy and Horata was fantastic. She jumped on the bus and we toured around the domain. Barbara brought and shared their stories at the St Andrews on the Glen and Glen Tunnel, and Bob Mugford was there opening the museum for us to wander through. Sheffield had us sampling their pies, and Nigel, the principal from the Sheffield Primary, showed us around the memorial pool. With the lack of time, he would have loved to have showed us around the school, but that was just one of those restraints. And it was just so cool to actually be able to share our community a little bit with our and our special places that we've got. The locals in Sheffield, the speed submissions closed, so that was discussed. And I appreciate the board giving me their support to actually submit on behalf of them for Kiwi, Waddington and Sheffield, getting the speed restrictions with NZTA. I'm not sure, bear with me here. Someone mentioned about maybe prompt payments, whether the council would ever look at a slight rebate or a discount if people are paying their rates a little bit sooner than normal. So whether that's something that, I don't know if the council have ever discussed, but a lot of other councils around New Zealand apparently do. We've got an incredible guy called Eddie in Sheffield who's a musician, and he's really started giving back to the community. So he's looking at doing a country concert, hopefully in 2028. He's starting guitar lessons for the community, and he's looking at doing a possible Queen tribute band show at the Sheffield Hall, which will be amazing. Put up with Zara from the Memorial Pool, and she just kept me up to date with what's going on with that and how they're progressing. And the main thing on the annual plan was just new tables for the hall for Sheffield. Go Horata, we've actually got a meeting on Tuesday next week, so they have it every second month. All are welcome. They just want to invite everyone. So they're going to actually have plans for their new community hall and what they're going to do, and it's on 3D, and apparently it's pretty amazing. So anyone who'd like to come and be part of that, that's next Tuesday night. On the annual plan, the big thing we're looking at is reducing the Horata road speed, and they've got quite a list, but once again on the LTP. Coleridge, tomorrow we've got our big meeting coming together, CORD, Selwyn District Council Reserve, Stormwater area, and hopefully have a constructive meeting about what we can do to form a better relationship with Selwyn District Council and their community, and getting some problems solved at the same time. The annual plan details, we'll be planting around some gum tree areas and that have been fouled, and the toilet area as well, and getting the tennis court relined. Barry, and a correction as well for my board report. I have it due to the fact that we've got a customer that stays in our motel, which is Canterbury Plains. So I put Canterbury Plains Water when it's actually Central Plains in my document. So I apologise for that in advance. So Barry and I attended the Central Plains Water Scheme tour behind the gates, which was looking at the Rakaya, the stage 1 Rakaya part of it, and that was a really informative talk. I know the council went and visited that most probably a week or two before we did. It would have been really nice for the rest of the community board to have been part of that, I think, so that we all understand the how the system works. And we also looked at a tour, or toured the Cookson's farm, which is in Horata, and how it works and services them as well, and to get a better understanding of the scheme. So that's really my report. Thanks.
So you move it to your doctor.
I removed that it's be adopted. You can have it.
Councillor. It's again. Councillor Darren, all fans aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There is it.
Yeah,
take mine basically is red. Really, the one thing that others past are really interested in, other than the speed limits, which we've done to death today, is looking at the capacity of public toilets in others past, which are getting to the point where the bubble, tool and trouble, and there needs to be some sort of capital investment put into there. Gareth and I have spoken about it informally, but I think we'll present to the LTP, or annual plan rather, for a feasibility study on what the ongoing solutions may be there. Last night I had a Zoom meeting with Castle Hill, and so they're chugging away. They've got a couple of interesting things happening up there. They want to look at what's happening with a tree policy. So that's something we need to engage with Kieran and Charlotte. And they also have a feasibility study underway for solar power and battery storage for resilience up there for their emergency response. And yep, other than that, I've done heaps of work through the NZTA and their the legislation that's driving what's happening with speed reviews. So that's been quite enlightening and helped inform our process. On Monday, I had a meeting with Nicola Grigg, MP, and put the case similarly to what we had already put through to NZTA, and she's taking that to Chris Bishop, the Minister, on our behalf, and in concert with the discussions that we've had today with James Kagan. I'd like to move my report be accepted.
Second.
Second, Samantha. All those ayes?
Aye.
Carried. Alan, you're on now.
Right. I will take it everyone's read my report. I've got a couple of things that come from this. In relation to the Springfield Residents Association in the hall here, the council would like to see the hall move more. The residents are looking at the screen, which is actually stitched together from panels, and I would like to suggest that perhaps the council might like to provide them and pay for a new screen for them. If that's all right, Steve. Might cost you an absolute fortune, and you get a free ticket to the movies.
Only one.
Only one.
That's bribery.
I was about to say.
You can't do that. That doesn't work under Section 52.
He didn't give you two. He'll give you two.
Betty's partner, she's better than he is, so give him two.
Okay.
Quiet in the sheets.
In relation to the Ngāti Moki Marae and the autonomous barges, I've finally heard back from ECAN, and they would like a meeting on to talk about the data they want to give us on the lake. The company in the North Island with the filtration system have been contacted. They are after that data so they can tell us if their filtration system will work, but they're quite excited about it too. So, hey, there's a possibility of some positive things there, but it also ties in with some work I've also been doing on algae into algae into biodiesel. Christchurch City Council apparently have been working on that, and we have got some details here from Robin Schultz, the Nimbus Group, and Dr. Chris Bathurst, and they're looking at potentially, it might be that we could use either the biosludge out of the lake or the algae that forms on the poop down at Hines to run a biofuel system, which would be quite cool. It'd pay for all the council vehicles to be run. But also, these guys are already talking to a farmer in Darfield who supplied them with some cow poop to see if that would work for biofuel as well. But given that we are particular about fuel at the moment, this is coming at an interesting time. In terms of the road situation, oops, that's not fun with it. I'm handing these out. This relates to the roadway at Mealy Road, Carrying Cross Corner. And it's not a very safe intersection at the moment. because as you can see from the graphics there, and luckily Google timed it brilliantly, people are going across that road, completely crossing the intersection on the wrong side of the road as they enter Wards Road. But also when trucks are going through, there is a lamppost that's 650 millimeters from the edge of the curb. And that photo too, you can actually see on the photo too how the trucks have actually gone the wrong side of the curb, which gives them about 350 millimeter clearance towards them hitting the lamppost. So
it's a pretty high tension line, isn't it?
it is, yeah, there's a fair bit of power going through there, which we do not want coming down.
Okay.
Consequently, and thanks to the wonderful work of Steve, I would like to put a resolution that the Malvern Community Board recommends that the Selwyn District Council, in its capacity as road controlling authority for the Charing Cross intersection, undertake a review of the intersection for heavy trade vehicles, and specifically the council formally requests that Orion New Zealand Limited relocate that power pole situated near the intersection to reduce potential obstruction and improve safety for road use, and two, undertake a technical assessment of the current approach and alignment of Wards Road at the Charing Cross intersection, including identification of any feasible safety improvements that could better accommodate the turning movement of heavy trade vehicles. I'd like to move that. What do we have? I can give you the copy of that, Martin, so you've got the actual wording.
I'll call it a second.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
Now just before you put the resolution, I was made aware of this, particularly when I went down to see on whatever day it was, briefing at council. I just happened to follow a heavy truck down that might have a different colour than some. And it got to that corner down there and it was going to balance a load of fertiliser. Now, when the cross road from Telegraph Road, it's on an angle, but it just so happened another truck was coming up and doing the reserve. And I mean, both drivers knew the problem, but you're going to get someone just go straight through there and bang, you'll have that pole down, or not a head-on collision. And so yesterday, Alan and I went down there for half an hour. I reckon there'd be 2:15 to 3:15. The traffic on that road.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Absolutely.
50 to 80 vehicles through the intersection.
And the speed coming
Half an hour.
on Beatty Road, the speed, they just keep going. They're hitting it there 90 to 100 k's. And well, it used to be called the Several Crossroads. It was the site of the next big town in Christchurch after the New Zealand company decided to go to Christchurch instead. So it's come out here where it is great problems. Just a few. But anyway, I just like to tell you that I consider it a real hazard, and $400,000 for roadwork improvement that Gareth told us about won't go too far with it. But you've just been through today.
Yeah. If we get it right and the pole, it shouldn't cost us anything.
Well, the first thing is to get the pole moved is a temporary.
Yeah.
Problematic too, because that pole will then become a strain pole, so that's because of that right now it's straight through.
I mean,
But
you might have
it can be done though.
We move the 600 across at the bottom and put it on an angle.
Well, anyway, we've got a resolution that we put out. We're going to move the resolution. I'll put the resolution on, say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Thank you.
Now the
Can I just let that go to council?
So what that will do is I'll put that in my CEO's report. I'll note, and then Gareth and I will work on, this is the request that's been made to council, here's officers' response to that. And I think then we identify the cost, and this isn't within this year's operating budget, and I'm looking at Gareth and he's confirming that. So I think we would likely find a way to allocate this in the annual plan budget, because we can write to Orion and that's free of charge to do the safety design work, which Gareth and I sort of worked on the wording this morning around that, is that we will then put that through the annual plan process. But just to allocate that as part of the plan would be to allocate that as part of Gareth's work plan.
Okay.
Do we add it to it?
and my one final thing, the library and the book group, which sorted it.
Woohoo!
What an issue.
That's
That's got to be a
Thank you.
scone and a cup of tea.
thank you,
celebration.
Alan, for your work on that. I do want to appreciate.
Yeah. We're still not happy. The resolution, the solution we've got is pragmatic. Right, okay.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to move that my report be accepted.
And someone seconded already? Oh, Samantha?
Yes,
Done?
I'll second it.
All in
Thank you.
favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against, go, thank you. Now we move on to Samantha's report. And you. Yeah. Okay.
So, can I move that my board report is received, please?
Yep.
So I will assume the report is read and I'll just cover off the highlights. So moving through the report, Simplifying Local Government Act proposal. So I have submitted on behalf of the board the proposal after receiving feedback from the board, and this was submitted in February. So I'll now close this action and remove it from the agenda. The Malvern Community Board 3-year strategy plan. Thank you to the board members that provided their very useful feedback. It has been amended now, and I have circulated it through back to the board. So we are now at the stage of requesting the board to adopt the strategy and enable the plan to be published on the Selwyn District site under the Malvern Community Board area for the broader community feedback. The next step would be for the board to meet again and review all the collated feedback and then agree on any needed changes. So I'll just pause and get approval of the board to publish the draft plan on the Selwyn District Council website.
So I understand what the council just puts online.
Yeah, it's within your area on the Selwyn District Council website. It's your document, so.
And do we go to the local 2 pages and ask them to put something in? Do we, you know, is it the way you go? Get it on there first and then ask the papers that they want to.
Yeah, you can.
You mean to communicate to the
Yeah.
wider
Yeah.
community that it's available?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
of course we
shared.
we could do
I
that,
don't
yeah.
think it's a charge to us as a board. I think it's a news item for them to publish.
Mhm.
And if we can get them, it's a one-off thing,
Yeah.
but I think that's what they're there for.
So our comms team could support through, if the board's happy to work through Samantha, our comms team can support Samantha with a media release that can go out.
All right, okay.
If that's the direction the board wants.
And are we also agreeing we can put it on the website? Brilliant,
Oh, sorry.
thank you.
I said,
That was a question.
That's not
for the
my
board.
voice. It's fine to put it on the website, but it's the board's decision. Sorry about that.
All right, well,
And that would also be circulated to the resident community associations. For these.
Yes, as part of that wider communication
Yeah,
feedback.
comms will do that for us, don't
No,
Not
no, I
press
can
release,
do
just
that
press
once,
release.
they?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, the.
I think
oh, oh,
Samantha will do the resident community associations.
Yes, I'll work with council to load the strategy on the council website.
Yeah.
Yeah, and work with them on the communication to the public. And then separately, I'll email all the community associations for wider feedback. Have I covered everything? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
think that,
Do we need to
Brilliant.
put it to table?
Yeah, is it just an agreement? I feel I have the board
well,
agreement,
I think
Mr.
so.
Carey.
Yeah.
Thing moving.
I
And-
just wasn't
but
sure if we
I
need a
think,
movement.
perhaps you and I should both talk to the press, because I think it's important that we get them on board ahead of, well.
Yeah. Is it
Well, get-
better than
get
for
on-
council to work with Evan,
Yeah.
the chair, on that media publication? It's over to you, Evan. Do you want to, I can
I'd say.
cut or?
I'd say yes, he
Seems-
should.
Yeah,
it's
Between
yeah,
the-
because you're chair.
Between the three of us, we'll get it.
Yeah, because it would make more sense if the chair sort of, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right.
All right, let's put the resolution.
And I can support if you need me to. That's all good. And is it all right? Oh, sorry, I'll wait for the resolution.
Well, I think we should put a resolution. I'll move to the chair that the community board strategy plan be signed off.
Adopted? Yes. Brilliant. Thank you.
Also,
Um,
All those aye.
yep.
Okay. And then the next step is for us to come back together. So how long should we agree on what that feedback period will be before we meet again as a board to collect the feedback?
Well, I
Do
think,
we say 30 days
no,
or?
I think let's just look at it one thing. Let's get the annual plan stuff out of the way. Get that done. That closes the 26th of April.
Yeah.
So it's May, I think. And May meeting. Is that too long? It's not too long.
No, it's up to the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, May. So because we're going to put a communication out to on the media, and if I'm to engage with the residents, it would be good to also to give them a timing of how long they have to feedback.
Yeah.
So if we say at the board meeting in May, okay, brilliant, thank you.
May I suggest a couple of weeks before the board meeting so that you've got a chance to collate any feedback?
Okay,
and
sure.
present it at the
No,
board
that's
meeting?
good feedback.
And
Right.
just on the annual plan, it closes before the open board meeting. So, Mr. Chair, it may be beneficial to have a workshop prior to the 26th to just finalise the board's submission on the annual plan.
I think we just,
Well, I'll have to look at my diary.
That can be arranged later.
No.
You do nothing all day.
Oh, I'm busy. Yeah. Anyway, all right.
shall I keep going with
Yes,
my
please.
report? Okay, so the new MCB logo and brochure has been completed. Thank you to council staff for their support on the new MCB logo. An updated brochure, which is attached. So the logo has now been adopted by the MCB for use, and the brochure has been circulated to all board members. I've not received any further feedback, so it is ready for printing, and I will close this action. So the decision for the board that I'm requesting is the use of some budget to print the brochures. And the quote that's come through that I've also circulated with the board is printing of 500 brochures at $429.
Yes, I noticed you asked how many. So how do you distribute the 500? Where do they go to?
So I think that was also on my email for feedback. We thought it would be the libraries. Yeah.
I was thinking the libraries, the residents associations, and there's 14 of those. So if they got 25 each, it doesn't take long. And then there's sort of the service centres, the schools and various places. So I think 500 doesn't take long to get rid of.
Post shop.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's real progress. We've accepted, well, we've got the budget, haven't we?
Yeah.
So,
For us to hand out.
So do I have approval from the board to proceed? And just to check that the board is all happy, especially with your contact details on the brochure. Can you please have a look? And if there is any changes, let me know tomorrow.
Can I apologize for being tardy?
Yes.
Just when you've got the board members, don't want to be too picky, but can you just separate me out so that it
okay.
doesn't look as though I'm part of the subdivision? I'm happy to talk to you after
Yeah.
the meeting.
Thank you for
I
raising.
think you're in Tawera.
all right, well, I think we've got it.
Okay,
Going forward.
we'll keep going. Melbourne Public Artwork Project. So the community is needing to understand the overall decision from the board regarding where this project is going. So that is still on the action list.
Which was it? Sorry.
The Melbourne Public Artwork Project. So that was an action from last board meeting that we needed to get. We need to feedback to the community on what the decision is. So that's just a reminder for the board
well,
that
it's still reminding, and that's why I told council it's on hold, but we don't want to lose the money. All right. So
It's
Sorry.
the council at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
okay. So it is now sitting with council.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll.
no, the funds are with council.
No, the action is with council.
No, the action's with us. We
Come back to them.
we got to go back to in the DRAs, if you like, and say, well, we're going to have some discussion, but council's holding the money for us.
Okay.
All right.
Got it. Yeah.
So it's not a rush thing to do, but it's not dead either. So,
At the end of the year is 30th of June. So we probably need a decision by then. If
invest in 3%. No, I
If
don't-
we
Back up
could
to
get
25.
from the board just a confirmation of what you're doing and what time frame you need, then if you can send that through to me, then I'll work with our finance department to ring fence that fund and to look to see if we may be able to work some journal across into the new financial year if you're unable to achieve a decision before 30 June.
Right,
We won't get a decision before 30 June.
I presume.
good. Well,
We've
let's
got
do-
no design, no contractor, no site, no nothing.
Okay, I'll keep going. Thank you for that.
Mm.
The train, so thank you very much to the community that has sent so many feedback of encouragement around the trains, especially from Sheffield and Marie that collated all the Facebook posts. I really appreciate that. I would like to come back to the community on the next stage, but I'm just waiting on Mainland Rail to come back to me on costing. So that's still work in progress. When it does come through, then I would like to put a publication in the local paper to explain to the community what is happening. So it's just a note to the board that I do plan to put some sort of publication in. I'm just not sure when in the next few weeks. So if I could have that noted on the minutes, please. Bus shelter. Oh, and also, can I also request some advertising budget in advance? I am unsure how much I would need, so I'm requesting $100.
For that, what, for that advertising for the,
For putting my next publication in as a communication to
about the road.
about the rail. But I'm just unsure when I can do it or when I'll have the information to do it.
No, I still can't see why it's not a news item. That they can-
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, I mean, this is news. Why are we gonna pay?
Mm.
I'd go to the two editors and say, look, we've got some news for you.
Mhm.
We're not paying for it. I mean, well, yeah, you don't quite say it like that, but. No,
I can give it a go.
We'll
Sure.
give it a go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give it a crack.
Don't
Okay.
try, don't go.
Let's keep moving. Okay, bus shelter. The bus shelter, thank you to UA. He's done a lot of good work in trying to progress this forward. It has now moved to the Capital Works team and it will be planned to be delivered by June 2026. So that's really good, great news for the community. So we will continue to track that as we move through the months. All infrastructure and roading concerns that raised have been responded to and closed except for one, which is around the giveaway sign and changing the giveaway sign to a stop sign. It was supposed to be done last week and I will continue to follow that through. There was also a new concern raised from residents around speeding on the northern and southern end of Courtney Road where the 100 kilometers speed signs are at. This activity is still work in progress, but I have engaged with police to discuss their policing approaches and they have been very, very supportive. And I'll continue to work with them on that. Also engaged with council on installing speed indicator devices. And they've also been very helpful. Gareth's been helpful. Thank you. And we'll also look to submit it into the annual plan and also engage with council around calming measures. And thank you for Gareth for reviewing all my innovative ideas that came from the community. We will progress with this activity item and I'll update the board next month.
All right, so you're ready to move your report.
Almost annual plan. So annual plan, great feedback from community.
Can I just ask, is this Scott's going to come through at 5 o'clock as it happens? It's not, didn't come through yet.
Okay, so annual plan, great feedback from the community on their concerns. I have collated the list and it's on the appendix. And as the chair's put in his report, we did have a workshop as a board together. So I wondered whether we could have a quick discussion because there was some confusion around the process. So I have since engaged with council and I understand the process is receiving the concerns from the community. So our role is to advocate for them, identify the issues and what the community wants, and then move all that list to the council to wait for a response back on that list. It's not our role to mediate the list. before?
Kind of.
Yeah, so,
We've got a formal consultation process and we've got a formal set of questions and responses. And so what your first job is to advocate and make sure the community is aware of it and then know how to access the consultation form and to put their feedback in through the form. Now, if that's through the Kirui Residents Association, that group can put a group submission into that, much like the Malvern Community Board can, much like individuals can across our district. But it's key that all of that feedback gets put into the consultation form and the formal response, so that because we are going to collate all of the submissions. We've got over 160 so far. And we want to be able to put that in a way that we can then give our councillors a summary of each question and a summary of the for, against, and the open-ended comments about why people like it or they don't like the idea. And then the open-ended thing at the end.
Yeah, so if communities come to me, I've collated that list, I can put a submission on their behalf, or is it a board? Is it a list from the board, like our collated list as a submission as a whole as a board, or because we're in our different sort of separate area portfolios, do we do it on behalf of our areas? So, could you clarify that process?
John, what you're thinking is.
My thought would be that each of the board members comes and has a workshop prior to the closing date, agrees on what the board submission is going to be. And I know decisions can't be made at workshops, but I think this case could be that if it was minuted, that the board members will meet and make a board submission on the annual plan. And then, as Steve said, each individual board member can make their own individual submission, and each residents association can make theirs. And if I'm in charge of the Nannies Association and they authorise me, I can make their submission.
Yeah, so that's clear. So we're sort of halfway there, because our meeting last week, we collated the list. Okay, brilliant.
And then just to John's point is that you don't make decisions in workshops, but you can retrospectively, then if in principle you've agreed on the approach, then at your next meeting, you retrospectively endorse your submission to council, because the timing is 4 days out.
Yeah. And
it's quite a bit to do, isn't it? But
yes.
I'm of mind that I think we should be submitting individually for our own areas. I'm not comfortable submitting as a board, because I think some of the submissions are frivolous, and I don't want to be putting my vote behind things that I think are extravagances when there are better things to be spending your money on.
But we're advocating for that community, and that's what they want. So,
You might be, you can go and advocate for them for all you like, but I'm not going to have my name beside something that I think is frivolous and unnecessary. I think that one of the first.
But John, what I think happens is it's meant to get the Kiwi thing, and Kiwi won't put their own, the DRA will put their own, but all we as a board is just overview. But we put our own, but it doesn't necessarily say we have to endorse everything they put it.
That's right.
Well, that's not what we just spoke about. What was said was we would get together as a workshop, and the board would decide which ones they went in and put them all in as a board. That's what John suggested.
And I suppose what I'm saying is everybody brings in from their community and a variety of things. And then if there can be a consensus reached on what you all agree on, that can be a board. And in my personal view, there's no reason to say it doesn't have to be a unanimous decision. It can say that these people agree with this. It depends on how you want to handle it. But I just don't believe that as a board member, I could submit as an individual, you can submit. Does that clarify it?
Because
but if this isn't minuted, then my vote against whatever I think is frivolous is not going to be.
Well, in the workshop, I think you can record. You can't take a minute, but in the workshop, you can record the discussion.
I'm
because the list has by default our names next to it anyway, because it has the areas that we are listing our
Yeah.
concerns and issues. So, you know, by default it is, which is how we collated the list by
Yeah.
areas.
That's the
So,
living document
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, so technically it is us individually putting a whole overview list together from the board, but within the board, we have our own areas and our own list that we're
Yeah.
recommending. Maybe
So
we
it's-
can talk
so-
about it at the
Yeah.
at that workshop meeting.
Yeah, but we were talking about, like, on that triangular drawing that I had about those different categories that you were talking about, where we have everyone brings their information in, and you collate them in those individual strategy category areas, so that we've got a living document, so that we've got something we're working through. And as Barry said, if stuff's frivolous there and there's just not going to be the budget for it, we can note it. Don't have to proceed with it.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of looking at what the individual settlements feel so strongly about and making
Yeah.
people look after them.
I think
So the-
to just for, because I think Barry's raised a reasonable point that ideally it's unanimous support. And if you can't get unanimous support, you know that other parts of the community are going to support that initiative irrespective. But don't lose sight of the strength of a combined submission, because it gives the Malvern Community Board as representative for your community a voice to then talk to through the hearings process. You then get the chance through Evan and the chair or all board members to come and actually talk to council about your views on what matters most for Malvern as a collective ward. And that might be, you might agree to focus on community halls, you might look at focusing on road safety, you know, the things that keep coming back as being really important. So if you don't put a submission in, you don't get the right to talk later.
All right,
And
so-
the
so-
reason that I'm,
Balancing it.
Yeah, okay.
and the reason I'm raising it is because we have an opportunity, now that we have that collated list, is at the presentation at Darfield on the 16th, to actually put it up and be transparent to the community to say, look, we've heard all your concerns. Here is the list that we are advocating. And I know some board members were not keen to do that, but I'm keen to do that for Kerwee. So,
All right, well, look,
yeah.
look, we're over time
Yeah.
and we're not quite finished yet, but can you move your report, please? Well, you done all that?
Yeah.
You done, Barry?
I moved it at the start.
Right, okay,
yeah.
you seconded it, is it?
I'll second it if it's not.
All right, one vote said aye.
Are we going to
Aye.
come back to it or?
Just, it's a one line.
Well, I'm not sure, Samantha, just hang on.
Okay.
Now, Steve, you had some. You had some? No?
Oh, I just want minuted Andy England's apologies. He's got waylaid and can't make
Okay,
it.
all right, so
That's all.
that solves that one. John, your report. What was it?
I'm happy to move that be taken as read. And the only thing that I would just say is that the council's going out for consultation on community halls, Greendale, Sheffield and Tawera, wherever that is. And we'll be working closely with the residents associations. Had a meeting this morning with the Chinese consular officials and the mayor, and it's 100 years in 2027 when Riwi Ali arrived in China. So Springfield will be involved, sister cities will be involved, and there may well be a visit to China and visits from China to here. The other two things I'll bring in general business on that. That's it.
Right, okay, so, well,
That
we'll,
hang on.
hang on. Well, first of all, hang on. You move that your report be,
Yep, taken as read.
and you want to second it?
I-
Second, Vic?
Yes.
Okay. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah. General business, John.
I was going to bring up Bangor Road subdivisions and capital works, but they're all very brief.
Right,
We're at the finance report. I'm just going to take that as read.
Yep.
Are there any questions?
Yes, there's a discrepancy. Oh no, you go first. There looked like to be a discrepancy from what we met to go through the budget for FY27, and then the one that has just come out today. So I just wondered if council could just check on the values, because the last time the reserves and the starting reserve open balance of 2026 is not the same.
Yeah, I appreciate there was some further information provided today. I haven't had the chance to get underneath the hood on that one, so I'll take that question and come back to you via email.
I have to say, the council staff that helped us through that process were very good.
Yes, they were very patient.
Very patient and accommodated everything they wanted to do. So top fish for Michael and co.
Yeah, and if I could, all three councillors here that we have on helping us out with our board, votes of thanks for all of them for the work and support they've given us over the last month. It's just been magic. Thank you.
And there's something I just wanted to comment on my report. I didn't mention, but we're just like to thank John for the great work he did to organise the water tour. And Bex and helped too. But he made it with a brochure up, which was good to have. So I think now,
Excuse me, just on the finance concerns.
yes,
Sorry, we'd just like to make a brief explanation on the charge that, and I can refine this later, but keep it brief. When Local Government New Zealand decided that in the reorganisation that they made the decision, that took it out of council's hands. And the decision Local Government New Zealand made, and it's factual, not critical, is that West Melton would move out. And West Melton is around about 7,000 properties or something like that. So that was a massive amount of $26 by 7,000 that got taken out of the budget. Then they decided that when West Melton gone, there was only Tawera and Hawkins in the subdivisions. So there was one councillor for Tawera and 2 for Hawkins, which made 3. The law requires a minimum of 5, so they put a second councillor, a board member in Tawera, and a third one in Hawkins. So that meant we not only lost the vast contribution from West Melton, plus a lot of good people,
we had to pay for 2 more people.
Yes, so that really skewed the bottom line out of the budget. And then with the good work that Mr. Gibbling did in sort of working out a realistic charge, and then when the board decided that they would go to 6 meetings a year and make a considerable savings, that savings didn't actually reduce the targeted rate because the budget had been blown well before that. So the targeted rate still sits at whatever it is. And I just wondered whether, for the purpose of the community, some explanation could go into the minutes so that people know, because there was a perception for some people that the targeted rate would go down because of the savings.
well, I think some of our board members mentioned to different people, committees, that it would go down. So, but that was not true. Anyway, it's just.
I think I can add that to my next CEO's report as a real clear statement, so it's in the public agenda. And I think your decision to take it from 12 meetings to 6 actually represents what the saving is, because had you stuck at 12 meetings, that targeted rate would have gone up by an equal amount. Yeah. So, but look, our team is still working through it, and we are going through an annual plan, and this could be one of the other matters that members of the community may wish to submit on if they have a more review.
Well, I'm afraid of even at the end here, but I'm sorry about that. That's got the finance tidied up, isn't it?
Do we really move it? Look at that report.
I'll move it.
I'll say
Moved Barry, seconded John, all in favour, aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you.
We've got general business.
Right, general business. Now, do we have some general business?
Yep.
I do.
John.
Somebody's
Right, everybody got general. Where you go? Now, who's first?
No, I just wanted to raise regarding timing of the Melbourne Community Board. I know we're still early in our term, but the board only meets once a month, and I feel that our reports and agenda timing of where it is in the agenda, we always have to rush our reports, and we only sort of get to present our report around what the community needs and advocating for our community once a month. Is there any way we can get more time in the agenda when we work through our board reports, please?
Well, it'd be longer, wouldn't it?
Well, it just means that when you're putting the agenda together to consider the time, especially when we've got guests coming to speak, could we have split out NZTA and Southern Water into two different sort of meetings, so it didn't, go for an hour, and then we only had 20 minutes to do our report over the 2 hours?
That's going to get worse when we're only having 2 monthly meetings, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. In my words, I think the time frame for the board meeting needs to be extended to 3 hours.
Okay, I wasn't referring to extending it, but
Well, I think if we've got
Makes sense.
yeah, okay.
a different way of approaching it.
Yes.
Well, if we went from 2:30 through to 5:30. That's your 5 hours.
Because as Barry mentioned, if we're moving to every second month, we would just have more to report in our
Yeah,
board
we will.
report.
Yeah.
And we don't really want to cut that time short, because then because like today, we did need to make decisions on the advertising and having good discussion. So that's just for the board to consider, please.
And this needs to get put in the brochure if we change the time.
I'm just wondering, but maybe when we do our board reports, we do the board report that we expect everyone to read them. But at the bottom of them, we have a bulleted list of action points, so that it's easy to go through those action points to get decisions on. Like you were good with the way you brought it up with the advertising and stuff like that. It made a lot of sense. But maybe if we do it so that the actual the meat effectively and the board report's covered. Yeah. Everyone's read it, and then we'd really
just focusing on the discussion and the decisions that's made. Yeah.
That to me makes sense, and would cut all the time out as well. Because you don't really need peripheral discussion on stuff that's already read and you've covered it anyway. If you had questions, you've got adequate time for when the board report comes out to contact that member and ask the question if you need clarification.
Yeah.
But in terms of staff reporting to us, it's litigate here, isn't it? Because on one hand, we want more authority, or delegated authority or something, but we've got to have confidence in the staff too.
Is it an option for us to go through board report at the start and then the guests come afterwards? Is that an option?
In previous meetings where we juggled this around, is that what we found is staff came and sat for a really
long time,
variable length of time.
Okay.
And so the idea is we bring all the guests in up front, because we can say it's roughly 3 o'clock and you'll roughly be gone by about 4:15.
Yeah.
So
yeah, understand.
Because you're the constant,
yes.
And they're the guests. So I'd suggest you probably keep that order, but we could look at bringing the start time forward half an hour,
if we came through
and
2:30 to 5, that's 2.5 hours. See, we haven't had a break today. I mean, well,
technically after 2 hours standing order suggests that you should have a break.
Yeah.
But again, it's your man. But yeah, we could look at that if you're sure.
I think it might be a good idea, so that we don't feel rushed trying to have good engaged discussion.
Yeah.
I think Alan's idea of bullet points
is a good one.
2 or 3 points, but and that's the thing you want, you as a board member representing the local area. You can say you want you've got the bullet points still.
Because we missed going through Ubetsu because we've run out of time. So maybe that action can come for April.
Yeah.
I did it on purpose because I knew it was going to take long.
No, that's okay. And I'm happy to just defer it to next month.
All right, well,
Can I move that the board start at 2:30?
Use me, thank you. I'll move on.
Thank you.
Does anyone know I'm here?
Yes.
well,
Hello.
Hello?
we've had a good discussion on that, so let's put the resolution, we start at 2:30.
Sorry, running a wee bit late.
And we
We'll be
try
there
and run for
shortly.
5.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
3 hours. Get coffee in the middle. Anyway, put the resolution, all in favour, aye.
Right.
Against.
But we're starting early, but we're not extending out the guest part. We're just extending out so that we have time for our board report.
The guest part still be finished.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not going to cram more guests than we'll have time for it. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Right. You there, Margie?
Oh yeah, sorry, I just wasn't sure if I was actually joined. I was just checking. I haven't used Zoom much, mostly Teams, sorry.
That's all right. So, yeah, you go ahead, and then we'll finish our business after you're done. Well, with permission of the chair,
All right, welcome, Margie, is it?
Margie.
It is, yeah. Kia ora. I just wondered, actually, I don't know people. I just wondered if people could introduce themselves.
So we've got all of the Malvern Community Board, and our guests actually have departed now, and we've got two councillors, Samuel Wilshire and Tracy McLeod.
Well, I'm Evan Frew, and we'll go around this way.
Yeah, Alan Peacock.
Barry McKenzie.
Samantha Samuel.
John Perry.
Councillor John Berry. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, who's
Oh,
Bex has gone.
Bex Lambie has just stepped out for a minute.
Great,
And
thank you.
interim CE.
Thanks for that. That's nice to work out who everyone is. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm very sorry I wasn't able to get to you sooner, a more appropriate part of the meeting time. So is it still valid if I can say what I wanted to say about the roading?
Well, we've had a fair discussion on roading today. Barry, is it? You can.
You have a bit of a different perspective though, because of the outdoor education centre and traffic safety around children and how it's affecting your operation with the schools. Do you want to just give us a few minutes lead in on that, where you have a perspective that we don't have?
Yeah, so for people that aren't familiar, so I'm Margie. I work for the Kind Foundation and the Arthur's Pass Outdoor Education Centre. It's a sole role. So I manage the centre and do all the activity delivery for all the schools as well. I've only been here for a year, so I've been here for a year now. So I guess I've been pretty highly concerned since I arrived. Before I arrived, even before I took this role on, I asked around about the outdoor centre because a lot of my girlfriends run other centres, St Andrews College Outdoor Centre, Boyle River. I've girlfriends running a lot of different places just to see what the reputation was. And part of that reputation was that it wasn't safe because of the road. That was part of the things that was putting schools off using it. That was just part of the narrative that I got for here about other things. So that's just a bit of a picture I had before I came here. And I have to say that the biggest risk out of all the activities I take here isn't anything outdoorsy I do, like river crossings or like I've just got back from quite a big alpine walk with kids. It's quite full on weather. There's lots of risk management, obviously, around everything I deliver, but the biggest risk is the road constantly for me. And what makes that road unsafe is road speed. It's the speed that vehicles are coming through at. Because we're all used to being around roads. The children are used to being around roads, but the speed here and the proximity of the centre to the road, because it's our front road, the main road, and also when we need to articulate around to activities. So it reduces what we're able to offer here at times because of the risk. In terms of risk management, we focus on making the activities that we do so that we don't have to cross the road. So we try and make everything on our side of the road, which does reduce what we have access to at times. Well, a lot of the time, and reduces what I can think of in terms of a lot more development for activities. I have to say, so I came with quite an open mind, but I've discovered myself that teachers in schools are quite nervous about using us. Everyone's getting a lot more savvy about risk management. And of course, schools get quite a hard time
with that. And I get, yeah, teachers have told me quite just up front that they're quite nervous about the road and our vantage point. It turns, particularly when it comes to children having free time at the front of our centre where our huge grass area is. And because of in accordance with Arthur's Pass Village being in a national park, there's no fencing. And wonderfully, the centre has been accommodated in that we have a chain link fence that makes a visual barrier for the youth around the outside. But of course, that doesn't stop balls going through, and it doesn't stop some young person, particularly we have such a large cohort of youth now with ADHD and other things going on for them where they just have a lack of attentiveness to instructions they may have had or being in the moment. And it's quite scary having them out there. And you can have an adult out there supervising them in free time, but they can't necessarily be everywhere all at once. So that's quite challenging. Just crossing the road when I do need to take the youth across the road and with teachers and that is also quite difficult at times, and we have a really good process for that. And then from the centre, we'll cross the road, and it's about a 300-metre walk down the road to Punchbowl Falls, 200 metres, and we even just walking down the pavement, and I have the youth walking in single line. For myself, I would use the word intimidating for the speed of with vehicles going past. I've got a line of youth on the pavement for how close everything is and the speed that everything goes past, particularly. I'd have to say particularly large trucks, just because we get so many large freight trucks coming through. And for me, I would be happy if I could. I'd be happy to start with. Could we just get vehicles to do 50? Because it's very obvious when you're here and you hear you get really used to what 50 is, and it's very obvious what 50 isn't. And I even have kids because they like to stand out on the edge of the lawn watching the traffic and trying to get the trucks to honk, doing the kids thing that kids do. It's great. It's hilarious how much fun that is for them. And they'll even make comments. I've got 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds going, oh, that one's going fast. And it is. They're going somewhere between 60 and 70, absolutely at times, and a lot of the time at times. And teachers saying that. And I do think it makes, and potentially I think that's making an impact on our business and making an impact on what we're delivering here, because I think there'll be some schools at times choosing not to use us or thinking, is there somewhere else?
Tracy,
Margie.
Yes, we've had NZTA here today to talk about all the problems you're telling us about, and you've got a real issue there, and so have we. However, I suppose you're telling us what we know, and we're concerned too. It's a question of how we go, where we go from here. And they've given us some insight today as some of the courses we can take with NZTA, but there's no quick answers. And Councillor Very, could you add anything to that? What do we do about this?
I suppose that with board member Mackenzie and the councillors at large, we can work and just make sure that we're communicating with the relevant authorities. And with your permission, maybe Councillor Woolshaw would like to make a comment.
Certainly, lovely. Sam, sit up here, please.
Lovely. Hello, thank you. What I found very effective, so in West Mountain with a lot of development, we've had a large number of trucks that are clearly overloaded and speeding past school buses and stuff. Right down the Rego plates, right down the, I know you can't do it for all of them, but you'd be surprised how much 2 or 3 phone calls over the course of a week will drastically make a difference. If you ring the companies that are actually of trucks that are flying past, take down the names of them, and yeah, you'll be surprised on how quickly that can actually make a huge difference, especially when you explain where you are and the capacity that your concern is. I've seen huge turnarounds from a large number of heavy goods vehicles, and now they crawl past our school bus because they know I'm out there with a pen and paper. Yeah, and a camera. Yep. Yep. So don't underestimate the power of, hey, slow down. Yeah. That's
And
my
but it is cars as well. Like, of course, the main worry is a truck. I mean, a truck's not going to stop. It won't have a show of stopping if I get a kid out there on the road, or something happens. But the speed of the cars is just as bad. I mean, it's also a concern. 50 just doesn't seem to be very well. It seems to be very token.
Margie, if I might make a suggestion, petitions to Parliament cost nothing. They're very easy to do and they make a difference. I lodged one 2 years ago to get rates capped throughout the country, and it went through the select committee stage. I've got a current one in at the moment with them relating to potable water. It would not be a silly idea for a petition to go in suggesting that NZTA have to be more flexible to the needs of local communities when it comes to setting of speed limits.
Yeah.
Because the system we're hearing is quite convoluted to get a change made. Putting a couple of speed signs up and getting it gazetted shouldn't be rocket science. So maybe put a petition in, get as many residents out there and schools visiting as possible to get it signed, and put it through to Parliament.
Yeah.
Nothing to do.
Yeah, no, that's another good suggestion, and I do appreciate the suggestion too about, contacting companies as a short-term thing, because of course we know that takes constant effort and things, and they'll just forget. They'll be good for a month and then it'll forget again if you're not standing out there with your pen and your your camera, because they do. Oh yeah. So yeah, I just can't understand why we can't get a speed camera or something that would, even if people, honestly, at this stage, I mean, I'm an advocate for 30, but if we could get everybody doing 50, I'd be feeling like it was Christmas.
We talked to EZA today, and they are responsible for the speed cameras. We gave Mr. Cagle a list of things, and he invited us to go back to him. So we haven't. It's not the end of the road for us, but I think the approach that Alan's saying here, go to Parliament. I mean, you can't go any further than that. But like for instance, the traffic lights at West Malvern were basically a ministerial decision, I understand.
After 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we can't wait 30 years. But what I'm really saying is sometimes the ministers from these petitions or these, they get funding for specific, like West Melbourne. Sorry, Arthur's Pass is a real problem, but it's right in the middle of the highway and the national park and all. So there's a case to be made, I think.
If you put a petition in and then a child gets bowled, that minister is going to be get it in the neck. Absolutely get it in the neck. And we all know politicians, they only really care about getting in the next election.
And the other point is, board member Mackenzie's got an engineering background, so maybe you could talk to him and get a camera pole put up on the outdoor education centre grounds.
Make your own one.
Exactly. I'm actually up for spikes on the road myself. Or a bazooka. And I'm only going to shoot at the ones doing more than 50.
So, councillors and board members and the guests here, I'm going to call the discussion to an end.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you do. We know the problem, and we've come up with a few ideas that probably hadn't been heard of before to go to Parliament, but let us all work together to try and solve it.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, and thank you for those suggestions.
And don't forget Barry, he's a dog with a bone on these sorts of things, and I don't imagine he will give up at all. And he'll be
no, that's what we need, isn't it? Yeah. So squeaky, and it's a squeaky wheel. Thank you.
Thanks, Margie. Thank you.
Sure.
General business.
Any other items?
Yes, just a quick note. Is there any possibility that the board could be notified of reasonable sized subdivisions at the time the application is lodged? So that I know it's on the website and we can check, but it just seems that if it was able to a notification to come through as a heads up, and also I think the notification of capital works is underway. And that was only too quick.
Yeah. So in regards to the first one, we do have Bob Love coming to talk to you about the overall planning approach, and I think if you're comfortable putting that question to Bob.
Yeah.
And then we can just make this part of our dashboard that I'm building for the Malvern community. Board.
We talking about development, resource consent applications for.
Yeah, so we're keeping a track of the resource consent applications, we keep a track of building consent, Bob's, and I've asked him to see if he can look at developing an approach where it breaks it down by ward. He's got district-wide view, he understands how many consents we've got lodged, the type of consent, and that includes building and resource. So if we're just working on, can we break it down by ward based on the location of the road and address.
Is it Love?
Bob Love, yeah, he'll be here next month to give you a run through of all the planning, which will then take care of Ellen's February resolution around us and how we manage the relationship with the Ministry of Education.
Yeah, and while we're on that then, on the Bangor Village proposal and that plan there, I've been asked to find, can you find out if that's the very latest one? Because that shows the area of Warner Street being designated for commercial, but it also states at the bottom of it that it could be maybe appropriate for low density development at higher densities in current district plan zones. So it sort of sounds like it's a hodgepodge of all sorts of.
I think I've already forwarded that on to Bob to include as part of his, but if you leave that with me, Alan, I'll take care of that.
Cool. And the Bangor Village proposal questions, council, because there's quite a few of them there that'll go through for next month as well. Thank you.
All right.
Legend. Any
other further general business?
Yeah. In the interest of transparency, can the chair present his report to council to the board members, please, before it's delivered, so that we actually know?
No.
Why not?
I can read. How would that work? I'd be a month beforehand.
Well,
hang on. You the guy didn't want portfolios.
No.
Now I've got a job to do. You want to know what I'm going to
No, I want.
Come on.
I want some transparency around it. We've asked. Excuse me. We've asked for Samantha to get all manner of things read and approved before they get put out to the public, and the board chair's report to the council is in a public forum, and we should have some visibility of that, and we have no visibility of it whatsoever, because you're reporting on what we do and what we have said here at a meeting, and we have a right to know what that is and what is being said about us and our processes here.
That's unfair.
Mr. Chair, can I make the point that it is a report back in the public meeting, it's live streamed.
Yes, but there's no filter over that. That's.
And I suppose
because everything else that comes out of here has a filter over it of decision making and voting and whatever. And so,
can I ask a question? So, Mr. Chair, when you put your report together for council, what's the process that you go to?
It's a verbal report.
Yeah. And is it based on just this meeting that you summarised?
It's just the meeting. It's just the last meeting of this meeting.
Yeah.
And
so you're not.
In the one I said today was we're having a report today that I told the council we're having 2 workshops.
Yeah.
And since the last meeting, so that there's nothing adverse about that.
So to be fair, that is the filter in a way, because you're just taking this content that's live streamed and summarising it for council.
Well, that's what I thought I was doing.
Yeah.
Yes, but your perception of things is where you come from. So your perception of one of our workshops was that regarding the portfolios was you regard it still as a work in progress, and the decisions that we took there was certainly not work in progress.
Now listen, we passed no resolution there, and I purposely stopped the business because we're going nowhere, and no one asked was it unanimous. And what I said was true, still work in progress. I mean, the progress might be that we carry on the way we are, but it's going to be reviewed again, surely. That's just. But I'm waiting for the CEO to tell me exactly how he wants the board members to report to council. and particularly council staff. And I'm under a misinterpretation of what is the correct way to do that.
When we did the original induction, we were told in no uncertain terms that any inquiries we had were to go through the mayor or the CE.
Well, that's what I thought it was, but that we've got through this interim period of quite a different approach. And that's why I thought the portfolio thing gives everybody equal chances. But anyway, it's late at night and I don't, look, I don't think it's necessary, Barry, because what I say is public. And if I can't say something in the public, well, you need another board member.
Is it recorded at council by minutes?
It's on
So you can get a copy of the minutes.
So if
you could call into council and listen to it.
So if any of us don't agree with what you've said, what is our solution to resolve that?
My point would be a private discussion with the person concerned and see whether the two of you, in most cases, should hopefully be able to agree on a future course of action, because you can't change the past.
I will just provide a little bit more information. So after we did have that meeting, I did send a summary that we all agreed, because we did go through the summary before I emailed it out to the board. And that summary was that MCB did not support the nomination of a single board member to work with staff, and that we all wanted to carry on with our working in our areas. So I thought it was a unanimous decision that we weren't progressing down that path.
Well, you had Alan's idea of a hybrid thing, as well as what you wrote during the meeting. So,
well, effectively, that's what Samantha.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. Yeah, so it included Alan's. Yeah, it included Alan's hybrid, that we would meet every second meeting and work through.
Because that's where we give that living document idea from.
Yeah, correct.
And that means no one person is hamstrung of not being able to represent their own areas. And it gives, and the idea was to give you that document at the end of the day. So you've got that as the foundation, then you've got that, then you can then go to council with confidence that these are the things that have been discussed. This is the urgent stuff. This is the this stuff is peripheral. This stuff needs more discussions. But
yeah.
So we agree.
My understanding of my report to council was not to be. It's just a broad picture, not the nitty details. I mean, we're a much lower animal than the other chaps up there. Yeah. So I mean,
sorry, I was jumping. I was jumping topics. Yeah.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're not. Okay.
So we are no less valued in this democratic organisation than any of the other elected members. The fact, in fact, we've got all of my votes together. Sam, across everything, I think I got more than you. But anyway, if you look at the whole of the electorate team,
that should be in my seat.
Well, no, it's different.
So
it's
we'll
different.
Move on from
it's different. Yeah. So
I think so.
Yeah. So we agreed to meet bi-monthly and talk about all our issues and collate them in certain categories, and then you as the chair would then engage with the council on it. Yeah.
So and what's your real problem there?
The portfolio thing is not a work in progress. It was done and dusted at that meeting. We have agreed on it, and the report was written. So
the report was written during the meeting. Look, I think we're splitting straw.
I'll move the meeting. Point of order, I'll move the meeting.
Well, I think Barry's looking for an argument. Yeah, that's a point of order, isn't it? Well, look, I'm doing my best. I do. But council,
doing great.
Mr. Chair, there's a point of order on the table that the meeting be closed. Is there a seconder?
Yes.
I'll second it. We can sort it all out when we have our next meeting.
Okay, that's all right.
Aye.